It's time for some more BSL action. We just got through our first group, which was Group B of BSL11, the Terran Death group. And now we're going into another Death group because it's going to be a ton of Zergs coming up. Oh, actually, no. I was thinking about tomorrow, which was the Zerg group. It's going to be Group C, Avilov, Striker, Quark, and Crossover. Mistake there. Now we're going to go into our second group, Group F, which is going to be Gosudark, MadiNho, SPX, and OctZerg. And I'm excited for this group because we have MadiNho, who did very well in previous groups or previous BSLs, SPX, who consistently does well, like top 16 every time, Gosudark, who goes, top 16 every time. And then we have the guy that I always want to see, Mr. OctZerg and his Zerglings. Can he take out somebody like SPX or MadiNho? And can Gosudark make some magic happen with all of his all-ins that he has?
Yeah, it's going to be a sick group, kind of just a bunch of diverse players, and we got all the races represented in this group, and honestly anyone can make it out of this group 100%. So I'm really excited. And not just that, I mean, these games are going to be live, so we're going to get some feed from SPX and MadiNho. We still have like those first person kind of VODs, whatever, from last season, so that's going to be exciting, especially in the unfortunate case that maybe one of the observer things breaks and we get a decent game. That saved us a lot of times last season, but it's going to be pretty cool to actually see the players play from the first person perspective. And yeah, it's going to be a sick game, or a sick group. I mean, I think probably MadiNho is heavily favored to get out of this group, but who do you think is going to make it out in second place?
Yeah, so for those of you that have been watching BSL, I'm sure you recognize the top three people here, Gosudark, MadiNho, and SPX. They're always in BSL, but OctZerg, a newcomer at least this season, but he's not a newcomer to Brood War, because I remember playing this guy on iCup on Heartbreak Ridge. I remember him mass linging me. I remember him taking down the temples at the top right with Ling Lurker. It's like, dude, he's just always in your face all the time. So if you like aggressive play, we've got him in the first match with Gosudark, and now we've got an aggressive Zerg going up against SPX.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see about that, Nyokin. When we get there, SPX versus OctZerg, that is going to be the second game. But the first game is going to be Gosudark versus MadiNho. And this is going to be an interesting game. I can't see how MadiNho is not favored here, in that I feel like, first of all, MadiNho has had a lot of strong results lately, especially relative to Gosudark. He kind of has been playing phenomenally well the past year. But at the same time, what I was going to say is that Gosudark is actually a very aggressive player. Like he tends to go for bulldogs. He tends to try and bust you. But MadiNho is like a very slow player, slow and methodical player. So he tends to be very defensive, takes his time to kind of expand. And I feel like that's exactly the type of style you need to deal with someone like Gosudark.
Yeah, so Gosudark is very dangerous, as you pointed out. He, the last game I played versus Gosudark that I remembered, it was on Gladiator, and I was bottom left and he was bottom right. He puts down a Citadel on one base. I'm like, all right, well, BP, okay. I got a wall, I got a bunker. No, 4-gate Speed Zealot. And he just busted down everything. I couldn't repair everything in time. I had like one tank. So he's very dangerous, very sneaky. So let's get into our first game. Of course, it is going to be on Eclipse. This is Group F, MadiNho versus Gosudark. And in the top right, our Terran player, it is MadiNho.
And in the bottom left, sporting that sexy white Protoss plus the skin, from Peru, it is Gosudark. And MadiNho with a classic banter. MadiNho, one of these players, he loves to run the lip, but he's always entertaining. I wonder if he's actually wearing that Viking hat, What was it that he was streaming? Dude, he has like a Batman mask. He has like a Viking hat. He has all kinds. Oh,
there it is. So he's in full-on try-hard mode right there. He's got the Viking hat on. You think it gives him power? Do you think that's the source of his energy?
oh yeah, he's about to pillage these probes, if you know what I mean. Just channeling that North. You know, this is some real fan fiction. It's like, if you think about it, we're basically watching what would happen if the Vikings had invaded. I mean, Peru's like. I mean, not the Aztecs, obviously. That's central Mexico. We're talking about like maybe Incans or something, but like some of the South American Aboriginals. Okay, this is terrible content, man. Now, can you get me out of here, dude?
Well, at least you knew about that, whereas I couldn't even tell you the colors of the Bulgarian flag last season.
No.
So, I mean, that was a disaster. So at least you did a pretty good job here. I think I give you credit for that. Now, we do see that Gosudark. So far, no shenanigans. But of course, that doesn't mean anything just yet. He can definitely pull out something special. I'm wondering, I'm just looking at this map, and I'm thinking about all the positions you could potentially proxy something. You can proxy it at top middle, bottom right. You can, like, top left. I mean, there's just so many positions. If I was MadiNho, as soon as I realized that Gosudark getting range or something, I'm out of here, and I'm scouting every single spot on this map to make sure there's no hidden pylon like we saw Boa pull out.
Yeah, that's a fairly good point, but at the same time, MadiNho does get in there, and he does spot the 2 pylons. So, I played this game once on ladder, man, and this guy, with his second pylon, he just kind of like built it to the far side of his main on like Shakuris, and I kind of just like, I went in, saw the gate, kind of chilled around the gate and left, and the guy just instantly put down he was building a citadel the whole time as he was in his main. So like, that's point is that second pylon can actually be really dangerous, but in this case MadiNho does spot that there's 2 pylons. Usually, that's kind of an extreme case. Usually the proxies end up being with the 3rd pylon, because the 2nd pylon means you're straight up skipping range, and it's really easy to scout. So we're not going to see that, and it looks like Gosudark is going to get that 3rd pylon. Importantly, though, it's all about whether or not MadiNho can scout it or not. But for now, pulling the SCV out as the Dragoon pops. This is good, though, for Gosudark. He's going to be able to ward off that SCV and ensure that there's no re-scout of his natural. So definitely a comforting position to be in as a Protoss player.
Well, regardless of whether Gosudark wins this game or not, I want to point out that there are 2 SCVs scouting the map, and this is just what happens when you play someone like Gosudark. When you have an image like this of being super aggro, the other player has to account for that. So this is a lot of lost resources just scouting the map with another second SCV. Now that is something at the top of his base, and because this is live, we don't know what it is. It's a robo, so we're going to have 1 base robo play. Now, I personally not a big fan of this, and the reason I'm not a big fan of this is not necessarily because it's a robo, but it's because
my god,
in. How's that happen?
The wide walk.
Okay, now if he doesn't scout this looks like DT, because why else are you building 2 gates?
Yeah, no, totally right, Naokin. That's definitely not. I mean, the thing is, scouting the 2nd gate, you're gonna get an eBay anyway at this point, whether it's for DTs or whatever. Like at this point, as Terran, you know that the Protoss is delaying their Nexus long enough that if you get an eBay, you will end up ahead anyway, economically. So that's definitely an important. Okay, so it's actually gonna be observers. He's playing super defensive, expecting some kind of. The thing is, he scouted this command center. That's so weird, man.
Okay, well, let me go back to the robo comment. I think 1 base robo is okay, but this robo was put down at like 3:45, and standard robo is like 4 minutes, and that's on 2 base. So because of how slow the robo is, I don't like it at all. And now that he's gone for observer, I don't know. This has to be like some type of we have history build where he thinks MadiNho is going to be aggro. But we were talking about how MadiNho's slow and methodical. So I don't know what this is. If you watch Artosis' stream, he says that this is one of the worst builds that Protoss can do because there's no econ behind it. And what does the Observer really help you with? So I think Gosudark's in a bit of trouble, but if he plays to his image now where it looks like DT and takes a third base, then I'm kind of okay with it. But for now, this is not the greatest opener for him.
Well, you know, that being said, Gosudark should just double expand here. The thing with going 2-gate robo like this is that third base, you can just take it right away. There's no reason not to. You're going to be safe against everything, and you're going to have that scouting intel as well. Obviously, Protoss needs to do something because this command center from the Terran player is so fast that I can only assume he's already like six workers ahead or something ridiculous like that. And Protoss can even that out with a fast third base. So the Observer kind of scooting away, almost gets picked off. Only sees one factory though. And, you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, where's the starport? But it looks like it's just one factory, and getting an academy, you know, these turrets. I mean, I would feel pretty comfortable here if I'm Protoss, because this means that I can just put down my Nexus and not worry about getting attacked. But it looks like the Gosudark has no intention. Okay, he's just going up the 4-gate. So, Nyoken, I mean, I see that grin on your face. I'm grinning too. But this is probably going to be a bust or something. There's literally nothing else this could be other than some kind of shuttle bomb timing. And I cannot imagine this ending in any other way than total disaster for the Protoss player.
Yeah, this is why we both suggested going for the third Nexus, because if you look at how many turrets MadiNho built, it's like 5 turrets. He also rushed the eBay. His armory is slightly later than you really want it to be. Everything is delayed simply because this build looks like it's going to be DP. So going for the third Nexus would have been amazing. Now he's transitioned into what looks like 4 or 5 gate. There's the third Nexus. Very, very unusual build order choice, but as you said, this could be a bust. It looks like now that's not going to happen. Instead, he's just going to play for a macro game. Because we can't, or because we don't have the upgrades, I'm curious, does he have Citadel anywhere? Okay, there it is. It just now started. Now, 8-minute Citadel. This is a little bit late, honestly. It's going to be 5 minutes from when the Citadel starts until you have stasis. So that's going to hit, like, he's going to have 1 stasis when 2-1 should hit for MadiNho. So if MadiNho knows that, when he scans the Citadel, he should be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, Nyoken, but we'll have to see if he even chooses to go for a Stargate. You know, on the flip side, I mean, he is getting his third base, Gosudark is. He is super safe, but the reality is the Observer had confirmed that it was only 1 factory and a bunch of turrets. So really, at the end of the day, you know, this is going to end up being kind of like a standard game, but Gosudark kind of missed out on that small bit of optimization had he gone for the Nexus before adding the additional third and fourth gate. So, but you know, that's come and gone. It looks like he is gonna go for some kind of bust onto the third base. Now, once upon a time, you know, people would look at this and we'd be like, damn, that's a cheesy Protoss, like, you know, just go attack the third base. But honestly, this is very meta nowadays. You know, you attack the third base as it's getting plopped down. Now, the peculiar thing here from what Gosudark is doing is that he already has his third gas, which you just flat out don't need. In fact, you almost don't even need that second gas for this build. We actually saw Boa do this basically this exact same style, but he didn't even need that second gas. So really, kind of a lot of these optimizations not coming through here for Gosudark, which means that his supply just won't be as high as it could be. That is a lot of gateways, though. And, you know, is MadiNho actually building a command center? He's not.
Well, this is just classic Gosudark. He sits outside your base. He tries to build a ton of units. He tries to delay your third base as long as possible. That's exactly what he's doing here. This has no intention of ending the game. This has no intention of busting. What this is doing is he's trying to make sure you take your third base as late as possible. And I really wish we had probe count in this game, because one of the things that I notice consistently with Gosudark is that there's lack of probes, right? If he had 60, 65 probes and he delays this third base for a long time, he's in an amazing position. But if he's low on like 45, that's a whole nother story. He's really not going to have a follow-up attack. So we'll see how much damage he can actually get done trying to deny this third base. If it does not go well for him, as I said, if the probe count is low, we don't know exactly since we don't have the probe count available, he's going to be in big time trouble. But because he has so many units right now, he's up 30 supply. Potentially, he can snowball this game.
This is what I'm saying about MadiNho's style, is that it's just so sturdy against stuff like what Gosudark is doing, because, you know, most Terran players, they're like, okay, I gotta really get the best timing I can off of my third command center, just expand as quickly as possible, do it with as few units as possible, and just really maximize my macro, maximize my 2-1 timing. And that's what's weak against stuff like what Gosudark is doing, because Gosudark comes in when you have very few units and it just kind of busts you. But MadiNho, whether it's TVP, whether it's TVZ or TVT, he just takes his time. He's not afraid of just delaying his command center. He's like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get a couple more units before I expand and be ultra safe. Then I finally take my expansion, and you still have to beat me in this long game. So this is gonna be really nice for MadiNho. Meanwhile, Gosudark is trying to secure his 4th base. He is building a Stargate, so Gosudark definitely transitioning into the late game phase here of Protoss. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're both in the same spot here. I think Protoss's bases aren't as fast as they could have been, but neither are Terrans, really.
To me, this all comes down to how well this attempted denial of the third base is. You can see that Gosudark's econ is not that great simply because he only has 8 gate, and he's almost broke the entire time. So probe count is lacking. He's taking a 4th base at bottom middle. Looks like he's even trying to take top left. Supplies are surprisingly close, within 20 for the Terran player, and that's always a good position for him. Now his +2, not too sure if that started, but it looks like, oh, he kills the probes. That Nexus is going to be denied no matter what. Now we have another drop coming in. We saw Terror. Why is this observer here? We know that the vultures didn't get in, obviously, yet the observer comes in and sees it. And I don't know if Gosudark saw it, because I don't see any reaction from him. He's moving out of all of his units out of position.
I mean, he does have cannons and already warped in, so this timing on the dropship is a bit late. You know, once Protoss has cannons, it's kind of hard to still get damage. Especially if it's a vulture drop. If you get a tank out, then that can actually threaten mineral lines. But, you know, it looks like Gosudark's going to be pretty safe. These vultures are going to get a couple mines. So, really, this drop killed 2 Dragoons and maybe 2-3 probes, which is obviously good damage. But, you know, the Protoss isn't going to care about that. And, really, Terran's still on 2 base. This is almost like a 2 base, 2-1, 7 factory, but not. I mean, the command center is finished here. And MadiNho is going to push out. He is going to secure this 3rd base. He does have a lot of supply. He does have buildings out in front. So he should be pretty safe against this bust timing from Gosudark.
I'm getting a little bit worried for MadiNho, because even though I'm in agreement with playing like this, it feels like it's taken a little bit too long to get this 3rd base. And now Gosudark's going to have 4 bases. He's going to have 5 bases. He's going to have its arbiters. But supplies are approaching max for MadiNho. I still don't know about his +2 upgrade. He already has +2. So actually, MadiNho's in an amazing position. As I said, it all comes down to this attempted attack from Gosudark. His time has come and gone to, you know, try and jump on these tanks. Now it seems like he's just going to wait for stasis. We're getting into FP view. If I see a Gosudark come in right now, I would be shocked. It would. Okay, there he is. He's coming in right now. This is an anti-timing for him. +2 has already kicked in. There's no arbiter. There's no storm. But there's no support with those tanks on the top side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Nayokin, there's so many mines missing from that one hole there in MadiNho's defenses, and Gosudark is essentially exploiting that. He kills 5-6 tanks for free, and now pushes back a lot of MadiNho's defensive line here. And looks like the 12 o'clock is open for Gosudark to attack. We'll see if he can consolidate his Dragoons. MadiNho is going to try and reroute a couple of his tanks from his natural to defend his 12 o'clock. But really what matters here though, honestly, Gosudark's supply isn't really that high. He is going to lose a couple of these Dragoons, so probably not doing as much damage as we thought initially. The reinforcements are coming in, though. Can he make something happen? No, it looks like he's backing off.
Yeah, so what looked like might be a great trade for Gosudark taking out those tanks at the top side ends up not being the greatest. It's still okay because the tank count looks like it's about 12. And with the main and natural being mined out, that is going to hurt MadiNho quite a bit. But this observer is in position, I think, to scout the transferring SVs to bottom right. But for now, even bases for both these players. Gosudark has not built the Nexus at bottom middle just yet. He doesn't have critical mass arbiters. He doesn't have Templars. Maybe an arbiter has one stasis right now. And with +2 already done, +3 should be kicking in maybe within the next 2 minutes. Another big mine hit taking down 2 goons.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see here. It is getting close to 16 minutes, so Terran is going to be running out of minerals at his main and his natural, but it looks like he's trying to secure bottom right. Or is that a bunch of mines? I wasn't really paying attention, to be completely honest with you. I don't know, it is a command center, okay. So kind of ninjaing this base out of nowhere because he doesn't really have a huge presence down there. It wouldn't take much for Gosudark to deny that. But just in general, Gosudark is having a hard time remaxing. At this point, Protoss should be perpetually maxed. But, you know, Terran's also not quite there yet. But this is not looking too hot for Protoss, especially if Terran gets bottom right off for free.
Yeah, so Protoss is basically maxed, like you were saying. Terran's doing a good job to keep up in supply. Also, I did notice that Gosudark has like 15 gates, so I guess he does have a good enough probe production now. He is going to be able to basically just instantly remax almost every single fight. More vultures moving along the bottom side of that. I'm so shocked that observer didn't catch the SCVs transferring down there. He has no idea that this is even there, and a drop may actually be able to deny the space if there's tanks there, and there are.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a sick spot. And the thing is, these tanks can also defend his third base. You know, it's kind of weird because Terran is drawing a lot of attention to this bottom side of the map, which means it's kind of more likely for Gosudark to scout this bottom right base. It doesn't look like he's noticed it just yet. He has no idea it's there, and that's going to really bite him in the rear end going later into this game because MadiNho honestly is getting income that he just shouldn't be having. Vultures,
yeah, and it's
killing couple. Yeah, no,
it's a lot of gas econ too. Like he's floating 1k. Okay, there we go. I was wondering how many tanks he's got. The answer is a ton, and he's maxed out. And +3 is going to be kicking in pretty soon. Now, even though he's maxed out, where's the supply? Because that's a lot of tanks. However, the army is pretty pitiful, other than the tanks. So I'm curious where all these vultures are. Hopefully, they're not locked up in supply. Because if there's an engagement, while like 30 supplies being produced, I think Protoss easily overruns this army. Now, okay, I thought potentially Protoss might go for it because he's got, I think, triple stasis available.
I don't think this is an attack path for Terran. I mean, especially once you start committing to laying mines out in front, there's no way you push up this high ground. You know, the high ground is so good for Protoss. Obviously, if you have mines in the path that you're attacking towards, it's easy to mine drag into your tanks. But it looks like MadiNho just wants to set up so he can expand a bottom right. Here comes the arbiters. I wonder, does he have recall researched? That is another base they're flying for MadiNho. Is a recall going to go off here at this third base? There's no defenses, no mines. Huge recall, and I think there's another recall lined up on one of the arbiters if he goes into the main.
Oh, no, he doesn't have the energy. He needs 25 more energy. I also thought it was going to be a double recall, and this was a great recall because he knew all the tanks were out of position. I think he's going to get the command center. Yeah, he doesn't. The EMP was perfect because if he didn't EMP that, I think for sure we were going to see a recall into the main within the next few seconds. But still, supplies are 180 to 200. And if you're Gosudark, you're feeling pretty good about that trade. But instantly, MadiNho already had another command center, and still he has bottom right. So Gosudark really isn't in as good a position as he thinks. Also, killing a command center is great, but the tank count didn't get dwindled at all. So all he's doing is replacing SCVs that were lost with more and more tanks, and that's just going to make the army even more unstoppable. I think Gosudark's got to start making it scrappy because he also doesn't have the stasis available anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good recall, though. He did kill the command center, so definitely denying a lot of mining from Terran, but now, you know, he does have a couple of supply there, doing not too much. I mean, Gosudark's doing a good job keeping max, and now he's finding the other attack path. You know, MadiNho abandoned this position and trying to defend that recall. Gosudark immediately exploits it, and he's coming in here. There's not too many tanks defending the natural, and most of MadiNho's army is at the left side. He doesn't have a choice other than to attack Gosudark's 4th base, so this is kind of going to be a trade situation, but I feel like Gosudark's going to get a lot more out of this because he's going to be able to essentially kill all the reinforcements from MadiNho's main base.
Yeah, this main's gonna get wiped out. There's just not enough. There's a lot of goons, a lot of zealots. Those SCVs at the natural needed to be instantly transferred to the main and just wall it off. Now he's gonna be on top of the production. There we go. The SCVs are now transferring, but it might be a little bit too late. Luckily, MadiNho has like 10 factories, so maybe he can eventually clean it up. Meanwhile, Gosudark, like I said, he's making it scrappy. Top middle's being attacked. Look at the supply, maxed out for Gosudark now. Only 130 for MadiNho, and now he really doesn't have that much more, that many resources. Those SCVs at bottom right were just built up over time. They were actually never transferred. So I don't even know if he's fully saturated mining that base at bottom right.
Oh my god, Gosudark is just putting himself into such a sick position. And look, he's maxed. MadiNho is on 100 supply. All the units that are popping out of the factories are going to die. These goons are chilling on the high ground there, so they're not taking that much damage from the tanks on the low ground. MadiNho did kill the 4th base. There's an Arbiter at MadiNho's 4th base, but it doesn't have enough energy for a recall just yet. It is building up that energy, though, so very soon we're going to see a recall at 12 o'clock. But it looks like Gosudark's just going to 1A, 2A, 3A down the middle of the map and going straight for MadiNho's main base. He knows that MadiNho basically is struggling to get units out onto the map, and he feels like, you know, Gosudark senses, he smells blood, you know, he's going in for the kill. It looks like it's going to be enough.
Yeah, well, he may end up losing his army here, and if he does just throw this army into all these tanks, this could be what MadiNho needs to get back into the game, but maybe there's just a little bit too much. The zealots are trying to get up this ramp, but the goons are blocking the way a little bit. The SCVs need to be transferred again, but overall, the trade is going about, I think, about as optimal as it possibly can for MadiNho, but still, zealots are on top of these tanks, and slowly but surely, the majority of them are falling. A couple straggler tanks at the bottom are getting taken out.
There's a huge recall at 12 o'clock, too.
Oh, he wiped out top middle too, didn't even see it, and now the game's over. It's 160 supply to just 60, and this hidden base at bottom right really did not work out for MadiNho at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was it went untouched, and he still couldn't convert the win. Here comes in the recall. All the units from the rally points of Gosudark. Oh, it's gonna be massive. The toilet. Oh, okay. He flushes down the units, and that's gonna.
He can just.
Yeah.
He can win with arbiters. There's no anti-air.
He can win with probes. So recall the probes and build nexuses. But yeah, MadiNho collecting his thoughts. He does GG out. Wow, Gosudark, man. Nice
Gosudark. Yeah, Gosudark gonna steal the victory there. He ends up taking out MadiNho, who did very well in previous seasons. The opener, I was questioning. I think we were both questioning from Gosudark because, like we said, it looked like DT, and then didn't really take advantage of that image. But in the end, still gets the W, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is like the big 1-0 right there. So, you know, Gosudark is gonna advance to the winners match. MadiNho is going to go down to the losers match, and he is going, you know, they're both going to be waiting for the next match here, which is going to be SPX versus OctZerg. And finally, Nyoken, I never thought I would say this, but I'm kind of getting sick of watching all these like TVTs, TVPs. Kind of miss the Zerg, man.
Yeah, we're finally going to get to see our first TVZ. And if you like aggressive Zerg play, OctZerg's your man, because this guy is hyper aggro. It doesn't matter if you have a wall. It doesn't matter if you've got a secondary wall behind that wall. He's still gonna be super aggro. I remember playing versus him on Heartbreak Ridge,
Yeah.
iCup a long time ago.
Yeah.
I know boomer stories for you. You may not even know what Heartbreak
Fossil
Ridge
stores.
is, but let's just say OctZerg. I
You're
remember
like an
him quite a bit.
archaeologist, dude. You're a StarCraft archaeologist. Like, you dig into your computer, like basically you're like excavating your replay folder. Like, oh, look at this gem I just discovered. Look, it's the +1 melee attack ZVZ3 hatchling that we used to do on Jungle Story. Oh, here comes the Goliath, the drop of 2 factory, 1 starport, 1 base that I used to do in 2001 against Boxer. Here's the OctZerg replay with the Heartbreak Ridge. But okay, let me say this, Nayokin. Okay, as we maybe go into the player profiles, because you know, we gotta talk about, they're both kind of legends. I mean, SPX was, you know, has been kind of a mainstay of BSL, but OctZerg, an old school Gosu, and you know what the original legend of OctZerg is? It's
refresh my memory.
Good skill toy have. By
Is that him?
Was that him? I don't know, but the point is,
No, that's Draco.
oh, maybe it was, but the point is, who cares? We're rewriting history here on BSL. OctZerg, guys, is famous, most famous, for just Ling all-inning Idra every chance that he got. Just every game, make Lings attack, and there are at least 2 or 3 screenshots of Idra just being mad. Now, I will say this, OctZerg has been playing quite a lot recently, and I've played him maybe 3-4 games, 5 games. I've played him a decent amount on ladder. Also, he does not all in. He actually plays. No, he doesn't all in. He actually plays standard games. He tries to play macro games. So,
well, I don't have experience versus OctZerg lately, so I'm just basing it on past play. But that is interesting that he's changed it completely, because I'm not kidding. Like, I will build a wall versus him and he will still lingle in it. I remember that. And I remember losing to it. And I was furious. I'm like, why do you have 30 lings versus depot wall? And it would just bust through. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to be more careful. So you maybe with this changed image, SPX doesn't realize that OctZerg has that card up his sleeve where he can just ling lurker your front or something. So we might still see aggressive play, but I'm hopeful that we get some macro play. As you said, SPX, a consistent player in BSL. You see his results here, 6, 7, 8, 9. His highest placing finish, top 8, seems to be averaging about the top 16. So similar player to Ultra, but I like SPX a little bit more than Ultra. So I think he's got a bit of a better shot to make it out. But OctZerg, as I said, always dangerous. But I'm curious to see how he plays these days, because it sounds like it's going to be completely different than what I was expecting.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I'm really excited to watch this game, and I'll go out on a limb here. I got this feeling. I do like SPX. SPX is a solid Terran player, solid macro player. But I feel like we're going to see a standard game from both players, and I feel like OctZerg is going to win. So that's my crazy hot take prediction. Of course, I was wrong. What am I, 0 for a million in my predictions? Maybe I've got like a curse going on, you know, as we still are working to get the game going. You know, remember guys, this is live, so it's going to take a bit longer sometimes to get players in the lobby and stuff. But yeah, man, no, this is really exciting, because I know OctZerg has been just grinding, and I respect that. You know, he actually just sits there, he plays his ladder games. He was playing all of BSL on the same account, same ID, and he just grinded up to 2300, and it's very, very impressive.
You know, there's a lot of players that have come back, I think, in the past few months. Like, for example, we saw Gentleman PG a couple months ago, came back, old school PG player, very, very good. MadiNho was playing for a little bit. I casted Patak like a couple weeks ago with Doc Holiday, another Zerg that's very old school. I know you saw that game. That was a very weird game to see all these old school players is very exciting. And yeah, like OctZerg, I just if he's changed his style as much as you say, I would be very surprised. And I'm curious, like, how good is his muta micro? When you say standard, does that mean just not Ling all in? Like, are we still going to see like Lurker and Ling play on 2
Dude,
3
I'm telling
days?
you, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm not actually
Yeah, all
making
right.
this stuff.
All
Like
right.
he straight up, he like I don't know what the deal is. Like I don't know how he actually. Okay, we'll let the games speak for themselves. Map is gonna be Eclipse, SPX versus OctZerg. Let's get into it.
Well, we have our Macedonian Zerg player in the top right. It is OctZerg.
Yeah, and in the bottom left, in the red, it is Russian Terran SPX.
So I've been seeing a lot of Wraith play recently, and I remember last season or maybe the season before that SPX was also going for Wraith play. Now, I know you played Wraith versus Hawk in one of those matches a little bit ago. What do you think potential here to see some Wraith play versus OctZerg?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Wraiths from SPX. I mean, Wraiths in general, see the thing with Wraiths is you need to wall. Okay, like you need a wall at your ramp. Eclipse, it's a 2-player map. Eclipse isn't the kind of map you would think about going Wraiths on, but 2-player Wraith is just a strong build. Like it's kind of like always strong. So you can, you know, if you really want to, you can make it work on any map. I don't know, man. I don't know what to expect. We'll have to see if he takes his gas. Meanwhile, OctZerg looks like he's going for a 12 hatch. So far, no Lings.
It doesn't mean anything just yet. Just wait.
Yeah, I know.
Wait. It could still be coming. But yeah, so far, just standard. No gas for SPX as here's what we were waiting to see. The low ground or the high ground Rex means that more than likely this is not going to be something like delayed tech from SPX. Otherwise, he would have it on the low ground to at least give him that option, because you can go for that depot racks placement that creates a somewhat semi-wall. Instead, it looks like SPX just going to go for standard command center follow-up. We've got typical standard Zerg play here, pool gas from OctZerg. Now, the only thing we're really waiting for now is to see whether it's speed first or whether we're going to get a Hydrogen, but everything so far just looks very standard.
I'm telling you, man. Like, remember my prediction? They're both going to play standard. OctZerg is going to win the game. We'll have to see here. It is 2-hatch. I'm telling you, man. 100% OctZerg is not going to all in. He's going to go into 2-hatch Mutalisks and just play the game out from there. Meanwhile, SPX, we are getting his first-person view. Of course, they're playing on turn rate 24, which is refreshing to see. Optimal conditions to be playing in. And SPX, with the 15 command center, which is something that's really nice to get off, especially when the drone doesn't come in here. And you can see OctZerg gets the lair right on time. I'm telling you, man, this guy has been grinding. He does not just all in. He does try and play a standard, solid style.
Well, we've been talking about OctZerg quite a bit, but hit me with this build from SPX, because this is a 3-pen gas for SPX, and he's going for a 2-rack follow-up, which means this should be an academy coming in within the next couple of seconds. So what's your take on this? Is this going to hit before mutas come out? Is it intended to deny the third base? What's the logic here from rushing the academy and gas like this?
I mean, it's just a stylistic thing, in my opinion. I know a lot of players have this conception that if you rush the academy, it's purely well. I think there's a couple of Zerglings in SPX's natural wrecking. Okay, they're just kind of getting a scout off. Anyway, a lot of people have this conception about rushing the academy as being a very ultra aggressive move, and that it really taxes like your economy because you have to get the gas so early. But the reality is you only need to put one SV on gas for a while And getting the academy this early, even if you don't push out to try and force Sunkens or whatever, do a Sunk Bus, the reality is your range just comes in that much faster, which is harder for the Zerg to deal with. You'll be pushing out of your natural at a time where Zerg basically only has 6, maybe 8 Mutalisks, as opposed to when they would have 8 or 10. So I think the important part about getting an early academy like this is that really your range timing comes in that much faster. And it looks like, overall, like this looks like a really standard build. I like how SPX is only getting one comsat, making the SCVs out of the other. He's playing very solidly here, though he is skipping the bunker, which is really, really surprising. It's definitely risky in this matchup, especially when you go for an academy rush. You don't have as many Marines. It looks like he's just going to push out with the medics, and this is also really risky. I mean, if OctZerg had made a bunch of links, he does have Firebats to hold the ramp. This is gonna, it's gonna work out really well for him. And OctZerg, is he gonna have anything to defend against this?
Well, what I'm looking at is the 21 supply for OctZerg. It looks like the drone count seems to be unusually small.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think, he's stimming for it. I guess he just scanned right now. Sunkens are not done. The medics got in the way for a little bit, so at least that's going to buy.
Oh, no,
he's mowing down the drones, and that's going to be a pop Sunken. It's going to pop all these drones too. This game might just be over.
Oh, he really can't lose those drones. He should have just, if he just ran the drones up to his main and then waited for the mutas to pop, he could have microed these Marines down, because remember, there's only 2 medics. There's no range. Gets 1 Mutalisk as well. This is game-ending damage, Nyokin. This is so much damage coming from the Terran player. Zerg really has a hard time playing from this position. I think he should be... he's losing another Mutalisk. Yeah, he's probably just dead to this, Nyokin.
Yeah, Lair's going to fall even. And what SPX is doing here is he's just eliminating almost a Mutalisk instantly as soon as they pop. And unfortunately, OctZerg, we're not even going to get very far into the game. He's just going to fall to a simple Marine medic push. Did not see the move out in time. Sunkens were slightly too late. He may clean it up, but the damage is already done. He lost so many drones. He's lost a couple Mutalisks. Also, the Firebat tried to stem into the main there, but not going to get any success. I guess the only saving grace for OctZerg right now is at least bottom right didn't get scouted, but with the Nat actually dying, he's just now put back down to 2 base again. Dude,
he lost a lair, man.
Yeah.
Like,
he can't even go hide anymore.
I know, like, he literally, it's hilarious because that lair does have extra HP, so you almost do want to have it at the natural, because in that specific situation, it actually buys you a bit more time to save your natural. But then when you lose it, he has to rebuild it now. There's no way we're going to get a Queen's Nest anytime soon. He does have the Spire. He can go for +1 air. So really the only thing still on the table is a Mutalisk all-in. He does have good saturation at the 3rd base, but Terran already has 5 racks going. I think he probably has his factory going. He has turrets everywhere. This is really hard for Zerg.
I don't think that OctZerg has realized that he doesn't have Lair anymore, because he's going for Evolution Chamber. I agree he needs like armor, but what he doesn't have like a Hydrogen either, right? So he can't get lurkers. He can't do anything to actually stop a push. So I think what you said, just going for the mass mutas, is a good move. Well, actually, I could see this being a smart move, because mutas with +1 and then lings with +1 are actually surprisingly strong. So if he was to just go all in mutaling and trying to deny this 5 racks forever, I think that's an option. And it seems like that's probably going to be the move. Lair just now starting. He is in such trouble. I don't know what the tech is for SPX, but I imagine Starport, yep, they're there. They have just now started.
Yeah, this is, yeah, there's very little Zerg can do in this situation. OctZerg is still playing it out. Notice how he had the opportunity to just be like, you know what, the only thing I can do is all in, and he's still trying to play out the game. He's getting his lair up, he's trying to drone, he's microing Mutalisks. I'm telling you, man, this is a different OctZerg. All right.
Yeah, but I want to point out this SPX move that he's branched off 3 Marines to bottom right. This is exactly what you should do. If you can ever get a couple Marines out of vision of the mutas and snipe drones at an expansion, you should do that. You will kill so many drones. It will be so much lost mining time. But luckily for OctZerg, you had a sunken already in position, so that got denied. But still, the idea was great. But oh no, supply block now. Oh no, that's just GG. Too many mutas just end up dying. It's 6 mutas trying to defend. Just the Nat completes and it insta dies. That's essentially the story of this game. The Nat just over and over is just going to get denied, and there's just no econ for OctZerg.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just collecting his thoughts. GG. And SPX is going to win this game. I'm never, ever making any predictions ever again, from fear of jinxing the players. But yeah, so we're going to have SPX against Gosudark, and then MadiNho against OctZerg. Both of those games are going to be really interesting. Where I think we're just going to go into them, right?
We could go.
Okay, okay, so we're going to take a really quick break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We are back with some more BSL. We just saw, unfortunately, OctZerg not get anything going from the get-go, just getting kind of just crushed by the initial Marine Medic push. But that puts SPX into the winner's match, and now we're going to see SPX versus Gosudark. And we already saw Gosudark get a surprising, in my opinion, a surprising win versus MadiNho, especially once MadiNho got up to Tank Man in 3-2. So Gosudark looking like he's in pretty good form. I love the backstabs. And SPX, of course, as usual, is going to have to be very careful versus someone like Gosudark, because even we were thrown off. We see the robos like it's Reaver, and it turns out to be 2-gate Observer. And what MadiNho scouted, it looked like it was 1-base DT. So just Gosudark, I'm telling you, man, you really cannot read this guy. It's crazy.
Yeah, Gosudark's basically gonna, next step is he's gonna trick the game code, and he's gonna make all the units do different things. Like the Reaver is gonna pop out invisible, and the DT is gonna be flying or something, and even the game won't know what's going on. But yeah, it's gonna be a tricky match for SPX. Gosudark also coming off the win versus MadiNho, who is no slouch himself. So, and he's playing the same matchup again, whereas SPX is going to be playing a different matchup. But honestly, either player can make it out. Again, this group, I feel like, you know, based off of last BSL, for sure, MadiNho probably, I think, had the best results out of the other players here. But truthfully, any of the players can make it out of this group. So we'll have to see who wins here against or SPX against Gosudark. But yeah, I mean, how do you think SPX's TVP is going to differ from MadiNho's, Nayokin?
Well, to me, SPX just seems very standard. Every time I think of SPX, I actually think of Dandy, because Dandy and SPX play very similar, but I think Dandy's a bit better. So whatever Dandy's doing, I imagine SPX is doing something very, very similar. And what Dandy does in PvP is, you know, he just plays standard 2-1. He's like macros like a king. So I imagine that SPX will probably go for that. I don't think we're going to see any body S play with drop ships or anything, but I guess that is the potential. We also have the potential to see some Ghost. You know, we saw King Tosis pulling it out lately since the newcomer Sari has been apparently innovating that, man. But I don't know about that. Maybe Ghosts are a little bit too new for SPX to pull out.
Maybe they're just garbage.
And that too.
Yeah, we'll see. So, I mean, we'll see. The map is, I think, going to be Sylphid, so that's going to be an interesting map. The thing is, Sylphid is actually very Terran favored, in my opinion, in this matchup. So SPX does have that going for him, but Sylphid at the same time can be a bit unstable for the Terran player in the early game, because there's a lot of drop locations. You don't really have high ground to work with to defend. So, you know, it can be a bit tricky, but once you get going as Terran on that map, if you ever get up to 3 base, it can be very oppressive. SPX, I don't know. I don't expect. I mean, you say he plays like Dandy, so what do you think we're going to see? You think he's going to go for some kind of starport? Do you think he's going to sit back macro and go for that push? How do you think he should approach this game versus Gosudark?
All right, well, I answer that as soon as we get into the game.
Yeah.
It is going to be Sylphid as our winners match. Whoever wins here, going to make it round of 16. So let's get into SPX versus Gosudark. In the bottom left, in the blue, you know who it is. It's Gosudark.
And in the bottom right, in the red, it is SPX.
Well,
Now,
let me
Gosudark,
quickly answer. Oh,
yeah, well,
go ahead.
no, we're going on to another topic, okay? Because that was, we're going on to this topic where Gosudark has the Nexus skin, SPX doesn't have the Command Center skin.
Does that mean something?
Well, we saw earlier, Terra was wrapping the skins, and he won all his games.
Oh, so that means he's getting out. Also, Terror's from South America. Gosudark are also from South
They're
America.
both Peruvian.
It could be a trend. I'm just saying, could be
Yeah,
a trend.
Okay, so how do you actually think SPX is going to...
All right, well, let me tell you what I don't want to see. I'm thinking about what Dandy did last season. What did he do last season? He went gasless and got mauled by Zealots almost every single game. Or Gastia.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I remember.
So what I do not want to see is wherever this Rax is, it needs to be somewhere in my main. If it's at the natural versus someone like Gosudark, I like Gosudark's chances a lot, because we've talked about all the all-ins he has. He will also proxy Robo and go for reaver pushes. So that big dot that just got put down in SPX's main, I'm already smiling.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see about that, because I think the other point is that in BSL especially, we've seen a lot of the Terrans go Rax expand, but with their Rax in their main. So you never know, but you know, finally SPX does take his gas playing the standard factory expand build, or well, at least he is going to get a factory. We'll have to see if this is going to be a 2-fact, fact port, whatever. There's a lot of options, and actually on this map, going for something like a fact port off one base and then expanding could be really strong, especially given the positions here. you can see one of the facets of this map is that due to the rotational symmetry is that SPX actually has kind of the favorable positions in terms of drops. You know, it's easier for him to kind of get into Gosudark's main. It's very exploitable in that sense. So could be thinking about a starport. I know Dandy likes starports, and he keeps talking about how SPX might be a Dandy clone, basically. So that could be up his alley, but we'll see. And really, the other part of the equation is, what is Gosudark going to go for? You know, is he going to go for that fast robotics to get the obs out and maybe get a scout early? Range is going for him. He is making a Dragoon, so far so standard.
Yep, everything looks very normal, but we know for a fact it's about to get abnormal pretty quickly. I don't see a probe anywhere out on the map, so at least I guess that's going for SPX. But again, I like how Gosudark's using his image here, where there could be a pylon somewhere. We saw last game MadiNho sending out a second SCV to scout the entire map because he knows what Gosudark likes to do. That SCV, I think, has no intention to ever come back to check the natural. I think it's also going to do what MadiNho did, which is scout the entire map. Now, we are going into SPX's first-person view here. Again, another slick feature coming back from BSL10. It saved us so many times, as you pointed out. Now, Gosudark, oh, there's no Nexus. No Nexus, what does that mean?
We'll have to see. I mean, this could still be a 29 Nexus, which is also a really strong build. With the 29 Nexus, you can get 3 Dragoons out really early, and then the 4th Dragoon, and what that does is it completely slaps down any early Vultures, and you can kind of guarantee get a lot of damage out and onto the bunker, and just put a lot of pressure onto the Terran player. So even though you delay your Nexus, you have a lot of opportunities to kind of make that back up. So yeah, it is going to be a 29 Nexus, the 1-gate expand with a bunch of Dragoons. SPX is going to get that scout off onto the natural, so he's going to see that it is a Nexus. The Dragoons are, you know, smartly kind of chilling in Gosudark's base, and this is really what you should do as Protoss, because there's some time between you know, your Dragoon range finishing, and well, just basically you have to wait for your Dragoon range to finish before you could do anything. But really, Gosudark, instead of kind of pressing the issue, he is going to stay back with these Dragoons, which I think is a missed opportunity. If you're going to go for a 29 Nexus, it's more of an aggressive option, in my opinion, than a defensive option. You know, if anything, if you want to be really defensive, you can go something like a 21 Nexus and just get that second gate out really quick and pump out Dragoons off 2-gate. But instead, he is going to just kind of chill back here, take his Nexus later than he would like to. And this is going to be nice for SPX. I mean, SPX got his command center before he even had to build the bunker, because he identified that it was only going to be a Dragoon opening, not a Zealot Dragoon opening, so he stuck to 3 Marines. And SPX got his add-on first, was going straight into tanks. So I really like SPX's opening so far.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got standard opener from Gosudark. So it's going to be 2-gate Observer, this time with the Nexus already up and running, so ecom's can be much better than last game. I'm just trying to see if I see any extra buildings being placed anywhere, whether it's Citadel, the port bay, whether the gas goes down at the natural, where he's going to start getting an influx of gas. But so far, I don't really see anything unusual. It looks like that probe was going up to build something, but not too sure exactly what it is. Behind this, SPX playing pretty standard. That armory is a bit quick, so he's going to be rushing +2. We may be seeing a +3 play, which is what Light likes to do in the past few months, so that is always an option. Oh, we'll give that 2 more gates.
Yeah, well, going up to the 4 gates, so Gosudark does like going robotics. Like, Gosudark, this is his go-to, honestly. He does go 4 gate. And I remember actually even in the previous BSLs, he has been playing like this. Personally, I think there's a lot of room for him to kind of optimize the build so that he gets everything out kind of just in a faster timing. But for the most part, it is solid. You know, you get the 2-gate goons. You have observers with them to kind of fend off any vultures. Then you get the extra 2 gates to make sure you're safe against any kind of timing attack. Then you take your 3rd base. There's nothing wrong with how he's playing at all. Meanwhile, SPX did get the armory, and also SPX's build, the thing is, when you stay on this one factory for so long, it kind of you don't have too many units. You're very, very, very passive. He did go for the armory. He is getting the command center here. We'll have to see if he can get a lot of units because, you know, when you put down your command center this early off of just 2 factories and you were really only on 1 factory for a while because of the armory, when you push out to take your 3rd base, you're actually not going to have that many units. And meanwhile, the Protoss is going to have a lot of units. So taking your 3rd base this early is going to be very tricky. And especially against a player like Gosudark, you can see the shuttles coming out. 4 Zealots pop into that shuttle. And really, this is Gosudark's basic build order. It is his standard build order. We'll see if he can do any damage. I don't think he's even going to go for any kind of bust. Like, we've seen that he just kind of chills, as you've said, Nyoken. He kind of just pops up, checks out what's going on, and then doesn't force the issue, which I do like.
Okay, as we say that, there he goes. The shuttle is waiting to jump on these. There's no repair. SCV pull seems to be a little bit late, but maybe, okay, he's going to pick off those 2 tanks in the front, but those tanks and Marines actually did us a decent amount of damage. The Zealots are a little bit unsynced up, but as you mentioned, being on 1 factory for so long, he doesn't have that many units, but it looks like the SCVs are going to save the day for now. But look at the supply, 20 supply lead. There are Zealots still in that shuttle, so he's going to unload on top of these tanks, or I guess there's only 2, so maybe he will be able to hold on. But overall, decent attack from Gosudark. He's got more rallying in. He's also got his Nexus up and running at top left. He's continuing to shuttle in these goons, but I think that was a bit of an overstep.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, SPX is actually denying that 4th base, so that's a really good counterplay from him, but for the most part, this is a really good attack from Gosudark. It is thinning out a lot of these units, but he's gonna lose these Dragoons, and all of a sudden, you have to remember, Gosudark looks like he's still on 4 gate, does not have his Nexus, and now Terran is on 4 factories and has a 3rd command center. So if SPX stabilizes here, he's going to have enough unit production to most likely push out and take his 3rd base, but he is going to have to wait for a couple more production rounds here because the Dragoons are kind of oppressive in this unit. Oh my god, he's going to bleed out even more Dragoons though. This is terrible because, you know, the more units Gosudark loses here, the easier it is for SPX to just fly his command center and take his base at a really good time. And behind this, you can see, I think SPX probably his +1 is done, +2 on the way, getting his 2nd armory. This is really coming together for SPX.
Well, here comes round 2 of Gosudark, and I don't think that this is going to go as well as he thinks it is, but maybe it will because 2 Zealots get on top of those tanks in the back, but the SCV pull is great, manages to save the day, but still, both of the back tanks managed to fall down, and this is a disaster. Still a 25 supply lead for Gosudark. Actually, that eBay at top left has been a savior of this game. So I think if Gosudark is at 3 bases, this game is all but over. But now the tank count is so low, that's a huge hit. Takes down 2 goons instantly. Can he knock down this last tank? I think the answer is yes. There's just not enough repair. This might be Gosudark making it out in first.
I mean, he is doing it. He's killing so many of these tanks, but can he end the game straight up? I mean, there's more Zealots coming in, and look, I mean, I don't know if those are Zealots or Dragoons. I think he also, no, those are Dragoons. The thing is, okay, the Arbiter Tribunal is going to be the follow-up, so at least Gosudark does have a strong follow-up, but if he's staying on just these 4 gates, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to outright win the game, so he definitely needs to have something coming up behind this, whether it's a 3rd base, whether it's the Arbiter tech. And finally, how did that Dragoon even get in there? I guess it's just like a random shuttle. These are some crazy guerrilla tactics. Charlie is in SPX's base just doing damage. But, you know, Gosudark does have his 3rd base coming, and he does have Arbiter tech coming. So soon this is going to be really hard for SPX to deal with.
Yeah, supplies are just pretty in favor of Gosudark. I didn't get to see his tech in his base, what's exactly, is it Arbor, is it Carriers, how many gates we have. It looks like he still only has 4 gates. 3rd Nexus finally going up, it's about halfway done. Meanwhile, SPX is struggling. He's got the fast upgrades, but no 3rd base. His Nat has been ransacked over and over and over. I think Gosudark could really just start thinking about taking the entire map, but we know how Gosudark plays. He's just going to prioritize units over that. but it looks like Command Center actually about to be landed. I feel like Gosudark could just go kill that. Like, how is SPX going to save it?
Yeah, 100% he could. I mean, SPX, you can see he's feeling a bit desperate trying to take that command center, but there's no way that he's going to be able to. Oh my god, there's DT drop going down, but obviously SPX has had his comp stat for a while. Dragoon's coming in, snipes one tank, pulls back before more than one Dragoon goes down, so really nice control there from Gosudark. He's playing very patiently. He's going to snipe another tank. The mines get dragged in. So many Dragoons are dying. They're going to go in. This is kind of an overextension from Gosudark, but he makes it work. He will clean up all these tanks. That was really crazy moving from Gosudark, but definitely a good trade for him. The thing is, though, I mean, throwing all those Dragoons away like that, it means I feel like SPX might actually be able to get his third base going at this time. And this is around the same timing as the Protoss, and they're still on identical production. So SPX is definitely not out of this game, despite taking so much damage. He is making units. He does have upgrades going. I hope that is 3-2 starting, but it probably isn't. That's probably 2-1. He hasn't started the upgrades just yet. So not in the best situation, but definitely can make something work.
Yeah, well, it's not as bad as I was thinking it was a couple minutes ago. Supplies are relatively close. As you mentioned, the third base is pretty similar timing. There's not a flood of gates yet. There's not an insane tech from Gosudark, who's just going for this constant harassment. There's even a vessel out for SPX, so he's going to have D-Matrix or EMP available. I did see a scan go off there, so looks like second Arbiter is being made because the first one's already out. Forge not spinning, so not too sure what his upgrades are, but I imagine probably +1. No, just +0. And actually having no weapon upgrades is a massive deal for Protoss. They just will not be able to get through any of the vultures or tanks that easily. So a bit of a misstep there from Gosudark, but at least he has a 20 supply lead, and at least he has his fourth Nexus up, and he has Arbiter, so at least he's got that going for him.
Yeah, but here comes a drop, and Gosudark does not have his cannons up just yet, so these vultures are going to get in here and do a lot of damage, and this is important damage because, remember, neither player is on the biggest of economies. I suspect they don't have much more than 60 workers each, probably just, around the 50 mark. So every worker counts, and yeah, this is buying SPX a lot of time, so he can get another base going maybe, so he can start his his upgrades, or add more factories. It looks like SPX is on 6 factories, which is a nice count. He does have that vessel, as Nyokin pointed out. He is going to have EMP, so if he lands an EMP on any of the Arbiters, that's going to be absolutely massive, especially in situations like this where, again, neither player has a huge economy, so every single unit counts, and more so every single spellcaster counts. Really, the abilities are going to kind of make or break this game, whether a recall goes through or a stasis gets plonked down a bunch of tanks. But so far, SPX is stabilizing his position, and Gosudark, I mean, yeah, this is looking pretty nice for Terran, especially if SPX can put down another command center and try and take his mineral only. I feel like he would be in an absolutely amazing spot.
Yeah, if he's able to stabilize, I like SPX position. He has massive upgrades, but Gosudark has double Arbiter out. We know that he wants to go for probably a double recall like we saw versus MadiNho, and I didn't really see that much turret defense inside the main of SPX, so SPX has got to be a little bit careful about that. At least he has some floating building on the top side to spot it. Bottom, he's got a decent vision over there to try and intercept with his vessels, but yeah, he's got to be pretty careful for an incoming recall from the top side. Meanwhile, Gosudark's approaching that critical mass Arbiter count of 4, which is where Protoss gets really scary, and he's just gonna have stasis for days. So I am liking Gosudark's position also, but because of the lack of upgrades for him, I mean, just how do you kill tanks and vultures if you don't have weapon upgrades? You don't.
Well, I mean, the flip side is he does have double forge going, so eventually he is gonna get those upgrades. But yeah, I mean, Terran units, mech units get so strong with late game upgrades. It's kind of absurd. I feel bad for Protoss players, but SPX, he is taking an interesting 4th base. Usually you don't see people take that mid-right base. It is much harder to defend than the mineral only, and the reality is when you take the mineral only, it's easier to take that bottom left base as a follow-up. So it's easier to get up to 5 bases, whereas right now, I mean, he could take the mineral only after. But anyway, here comes Gosudark with the bust. Arbiters are out. Stasis does get onto a bunch of tanks. I think the vessel without energy wasn't there. D-Matrix goes down. 2 D-Matrixes going down. Maybe he doesn't have EMP. That would be a disaster. The Stasis are really kind of pulling Gosudark through this engagement, as a lot of the Zealots do get cleaned up, but the Goons are there, and really there's no tanks left over for SPX. So I think Gosudark out of nowhere gets a nice bust against Terran, and he is going to be able to completely deny this third base. And once the third base gets forced to lift, I mean, what does Terran do? So many Zealots inside of SPX's main, cleaning up even more tanks. You can see 2-3 Terran though. 2-3 Terran, 3-2 Terran. Nyokin, he could pull something out of the bag.
Well, once these tanks become unstasis, they're going to be able to kill all of these goons, and there's a ton of mines up there. All those goons explode, and Gosudark didn't reinforce the army at all. The supplies are just going to even out. And I don't think he really lost that many SCVs either. So overall, this was not the greatest trade for Gosudark. He killed a lot of tanks, sure, but he also, you know, stasised a ton of them, so he wasn't able to kill the majority, or he wasn't able to kill as many as he wanted. And did he save the Arbiter? I didn't notice if they died or not, but I don't see them.
No, they definitely died. And that's so funny, Nayokin, because that was actually a really good attack from Gosudark. But it really highlights exactly what you were saying. Gosudark, where were your upgrades? Because I was just sitting there looking at those Zealots. There's like 4 or 5 Zealots kind of surrounding the 2 tanks in the main. And they were just like fisting the heck out of those tanks. And the tanks just never blew up. I'm like thinking to myself, what is going on here? And, you know, sure enough, we click on them, 3-2 upgrades. You know, those ain't dying to Zealots anytime soon. And Zealots especially, they just do absolutely no damage against armor. This one tank is going to do so much economic damage. And, you know, all of a sudden, man, SPX, he got those upgrades finally. He got his bases rolling. He looks like unstoppable. 3 vessels, man. What is Gosudark going to do to win a fight?
Yeah, and he has 3-2. It's done versus 1-1. For those of you that don't know, you better have +3 weapon as Protoss versus 3-2. Otherwise, you're just not going to kill anything. 2-1 versus 2-1 is a good upgrade for Protoss, but +1, you're in big time trouble. So this is going to be 3 goons for SPX. This is going to be a denied base. I also don't see an observer anywhere. Okay, there it is at the bottom of that army. But yeah, how do you actually engage this army? I think that Gosudark has to do what he did versus MadiNho and just try and make the game weird again. So that's what he's doing. He's going for another backstab, but the majority of the army is goons.
Yeah, and there's already mines laid for SPX. He does have tanks in siege mode, and he does have vessels around to cast D-Matrix, so this is going to be a really hard position to break. I mean, he is going to do it. That's a lot of units, but SPX's main army is wrapping around. They're going to come in here and reinforce, and again, the upgrades are going to just absolutely shred through the Protoss forces. Only stasis to work with, not even gets EMP, does get a stasis off, but without Storm and without upgrades, Protoss just cannot deal with Terran units. I mean, Terran units, when they're 3-2, they're just absolutely incredible. They're insane in this matchup. You really desperately need stasis, and you really desperately need Storm, especially at this stage in the game. Once you have 3-4 base with a bunch of gas, you need to start mixing in the Templars. Just have them in your army. You don't need to put them into shuttles or anything. Just have them walk around, click them, click T, click on the ground. They'll blast Terran units into oblivion. Storm doesn't care about upgrades, so that's the one thing that's missing from Gosudark. He does have double Stargate going as 2 Arbiters pop out, but he desperately needs some Storms.
Yeah, this army just looks like it's unkillable, but I see 4 Arbiters, and whenever I see 4 Arbiters, I know Protoss has a chance, but the army is really lacking. It's even supply. There's 1 vessel. Well, SPX need to be careful to actually have critical mass, because those 4 Arbiters can easily stasis everything. Looks like Gosudark is trying to come in at the best angle. SPX trying to get all of his units together. Nice scan there. If EMP goes off, this game's and hits the Arbiters, this game's done. There's just no way as you said, no Templar, no anything after that. So Gosudark needs to be very careful. And every time I see him clump up all those Arbiters, I'm getting a little worried.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Like 3 vessels is just incredible here for for Terran. Like, just once you have EMP, Protoss just has such a hard time late game versus Terran. Like, that's why you see Protoss playing so aggressively in the current meta. Like, a fully upgraded Terran army is just absolutely incredible. And okay, that was actually a recall into multiple arbiters flying in, but they have no energy to do anything. No follow-up recall, so they're just all gonna die. Was that even real, or was that like
No, they're real.
hallucination?
No, because they got EMP'd and they didn't instant blow up. So those are real harbiters that just were a fail. And now I think that Gosudark gets a move.
Yeah, I mean, especially once you lose all those arbiters, it's just danger zone right there. This arbiter, only 20 energy, gonna kind of fly around, spot the base, can't really do much about it. And yeah, I mean, it looks like SPX is gearing up for the final attack here, but you know, it is worth noting Gosudark still has decent supply. He still has an army, but like those two arbiters clumped up once again, and he has no storm. He has to man fight these Terran units, but the Terran units are just so much stronger than Protoss units at this stage in the game. Like, this is a good engagement from Protoss, but it's just not going to end up winning. That stasis was huge, but look, the tanks in the back are absolutely demolishing the Dragoons, and the Terran units just aren't dying. These armor upgrades are huge in the matchup, especially when Protoss doesn't have their equivalent weapon upgrades. And yeah, I mean, dude, I mean, Terran's just overpowered, honestly, sometimes.
Imagine if he had 4 stasis there. Those 4 arbiters that didn't use any of their energy at bottom right. I mean, he would have frozen the entire thing. I'm not saying that he would have won the fight, because obviously reinforcements would have came, but would have been completely different. SPX on 4 bases, though. He's got 10 factories. He's just consistently keeping this arbiter energy very low. Gosudark does have the middle base, but as soon as SPX finds it, he can just wipe that out. Hope it's not mine.
Well, I mean, let's think about how Gosudark can get back into this game. I mean, he is losing all the bases, you know. SPX is having, like, I like how SPX is kind of splitting the map at this point. He's mining up all the bases, like, or making kind of a minefield across the map too. He knows where the Protoss army is. Like, he's moving some of his units to match that movement from Gosudark, really kind of just preventing him from getting any counterplay here. And honestly, I mean, I'll keep saying this, Gosudark just needs some Templar. If he has Storm in some of these engagements, Storm is really what, I mean, Storm and Stasis are what offset the fact that Terran units are just strictly better than Protoss units. But especially Storm, like, it just adds so much to your army. Honestly, Protoss fighting without Storm is like Terran fighting without Siege mode. It's literally the same thing. So you got to think about Storm as being that kind of X factor, like, damage increase to your army. And if he actually had Storm for a lot of these engagements, I feel like the game would have been very different. But he's just going to sit here and mass 2 arbiters at a time. But the thing is, I don't think he's going to have enough time to actually bank enough energy. And even if he did, at this point, SPX has so many vessels that there's such a high risk that many of those arbiters just get flat out EMP'd, and it doesn't matter. So it's just such a hard position to be in as Protoss. And at this point, really, the map architecture, especially in later game on Sylphid, it just favors Terran so much.
Yeah, we can see that the pros transfer over to a Nexus and just are greeted by 6 tanks sitting there. So they're not going to be able to mine that very long. Oh, good recall at mid-right. This is exactly what Gosudark needs to do, but I mean, he denies the base, but SPX still has top right. But if we look at what SPX actually has, he's not mining right now. He's distance mining top right. Look at his minerals. They have not gone up at all. So actually, this game's getting really nuts. Gosudark even has a supply lead right now, but he's also about to be not mining if top left goes down.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see here. I mean, that recall was pretty huge. So it is a way to get back into the game, and you can see Gosudark is lining up another recall. So maybe if he can kind of disrupt the Terran player even more, he might be able to get back into this game. I mean, the thing is, SPX the only mining base he's going to have left is this top right mineral only, which I think there's an arbiter nearby. Look, yeah, it looks like a recall is going to go off top right. So Gosudark, man, can he make this work? He's denying all mining. The thing is, these trades are never going to be too good for Protoss, but when you prevent the other player from mining and even building units, eventually you can maybe grind them down. But he needs to, at some point, oh my god, he's going to get the command center. That's huge. He needs to kill the army at some point. But if he... Oh my god, another recall! Dude, this guy's all over the place.
Well, now we're getting into a situation where if Gosudark kills all the command centers and there's no scan, and then he kills the vessel that's right there, SPX can't see anything. So there's a real chance that SPX just dies to cloak everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think Gosudark's done it.
Well, I still don't know. This game is wild. That's so much stuff at top right of the map. I don't know if those are units or if those are SPs, like long distance mining. What exactly are those? But Gosudark also, well, he got his top left base up and running again. It was rebuilt. Command center, okay, is going to be mining bottom middle, so at least SPX will have that available. But oh wow, Gosudark's going to mine out there too. So both players basically not mining for much longer. 2 tanks are going to be found and taken out for free. Okay, well, oh, saving D-Matrix.
Damn. I mean, the thing is, this army is still absolutely massive, so SPX, you know, without a doubt, not out of this game, but it's cutting it really close. And honestly, retrospectively, that recall at the natural kind of didn't do anything for Gosudark, because it's not like he was denying anything there. He kind of just traded units, and poorly at that. So, you know, we'll have to see though, because he does have 3 arbiters. You know, Stasis can turn the tide of battle here, and he does have 4 Stasises or Stacies, whatever, to work with. So if he lands the right spells, maybe he can take a really nice fight. But now both players getting awfully low on resources. Gosudark's going to sally out of his natural, going to kill a couple of units. This is really good, getting a couple of pickoffs, and it looks like to me Protoss actually has attack upgrades at this point. They look like they're actually doing a bit of damage. We'll have to, yeah, okay, so finally getting his upgrades together. So he does have the recipe for success, but it's all about whether or not he can execute. But this is going to be really close.
Yeah, what I'm looking at from Protoss is Protoss has no gas. So he has an army that's pure zealot almost. Oh, another recall. I think this will be a disaster if he actually recalls. Okay, yeah, I think that was a good move. Even if he gets EMP here, I think that... Oh, a whiff! But I still think that was a smart move, because he would have just gotten murdered. Because, like I said, his army is almost pure zealot at this point. So for now, the EMP was a whiff. Gosudark is trying to get up his 5th base. SPX is still, well, he still has 2 bases, but it's not like he has that 5th base mineral only up and running. But look at this, mined out basically is Gosudark, unless that mid-left base gets up and running.
Yeah, I mean, he is mined out, but he is about to get another base. Yeah, you're right, SPX does secure mid-right again, and he does expand to his mineral only, so finally getting some much-needed income. I'm telling you, man, if only Gosudark actually had some Storm to work with. This is a terrible engagement for Protoss. He needs to run away. If he gets his Arbiter EMP before he gets any Stasis off, 1 Stasis goes off. He doesn't have another 2 massive Stasis. If he can reinforce this position fast enough, I think Gosudark might be able to win this. He definitely has a couple more Arbiters out on the map, but the Protoss units are kind of melting a bit too fast. Here come more Dragoons to reinforce. Is it gonna be enough though? It's gonna be so close, Nyokin. But it looks like SPX, I mean, even if he doesn't win here, he does have the bigger bank, probably is gonna have huge reinforcements coming. There's a couple of units there chilling for Gosudark, finally rallying them into the battle. I think he has more Stasis to work with. He does. Oh my god, there's so much energy on these Arbiters. If only he had them in that fight, he might have won then and there, but unfortunately did not spot them in time, and now SPX is gonna siege this Nexus down. It just finished, and Gosudark completely mined out.
Yeah, 17 minerals left for Gosudark, not mining anywhere. I don't even think that's a Nexus at the top middle base. Oh, it is. He just barely had the resources to rebuild it, but he's still not distance mining or anything. And SPX has got victory in sight. He's sharking on this army. There's no stasis, or at least not right now. Goons are going to get massacred. There's nowhere for them to run except to their death. Oh my God, huge hit. 5 of them going down. Well, that's not where the probes are supposed to go.
Yeah, they're
He recalled somewhere. There we go. The double
Well,
recall, or the double arbiter recall.
That's literally 2 zealots. So, yeah, Gosudark, he is going to go down this game. But, my God, this game, 30 minutes of non-stop action. It was so close. So close. Both players definitely had their chances and their whiffs this game. But SPX coming out on top ultimately. And it's going to be just a matter of formality. There you go. Gosudark finally GGing out. SPX, I mean, makes it through the group, right?
Yeah, SPX moving out in first. But Gosudark's so close to making it out in first. I thought he was going to win. Remember the shuttle and goon bombs in the beginning?
Damn, that was the same game.
I know.
Seems like forever ago. Anyway, that was an absolutely amazing game. But up next is going to be MadiNho versus OctZerg. First, though, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. So make sure you tune in, stick around, because we have some more awesome StarCraft coming your way.
saw Gosudark actually fall to SPX there. SPX with an amazing comeback. I think, of course, the highlight of the game is the 4 Arbiter recall in the middle of it, and then none of the Arbiters having any energy, which is a bit unlucky because even if he had 1 recall available, he could have permanently stasis the choke, and SPX would have never gotten in, ever.
Yeah.
So a bit unlucky there from Gosudark. But now we're going to be going into Gosudark. Oh, no. This is not the losers match. It is going to be OctZerg versus, who was the other player we had? MadiNho. So now we're going to have another TVZ. We saw on OctZerg, unfortunately, get knocked to the losers bracket quite quickly versus SPX. But now going up against MadiNho, who we saw last season or the season before play a lot of mech. So it's going to be a completely different style, probably, in this particular matchup.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be really interesting. Exactly what you said, Naokin. Where, I mean, MadiNho, he has his own style. He plays very slowly in TVZ. Like, he'll just sit there and he's going mech, and you think he's going to go for a timing attack because he's adding, like, he's just kind of sitting on his 2 bases. Then all of a sudden, a command center is coming out, and Zerg kind of overmade units. We saw that last season, especially with Babo playing against him. We'll have to see how OctZerg adapts, because this is going to be a drastically different style than what SPX played. Now, if my memory serves, this game is going to be on Polypoid. And so, what do you think about mech on Polypoid, Naokin?
For Zerg? Well, in theory, it should be good, right? You get 4 bases, 5 bases, a lot of gas for free. The problem is that when you leave Zerg untouched for so long, Polypoid has some of the most bases of any map, right? Like maybe there's like 14 available bases to take. So you could be in quite a bit of trouble if you just let Zerg explode everywhere. But I think it's a pretty strong style to play.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we'll have to see. I mean, again, OctZerg, this is his first BSL. He is going to have his work cut out for him, though, because MadiNho has been very solid, especially in the previous, like you can see, Season 8, Season 9, Season 10. Very good results. His versus Zerg, though, notably kind of his worst matchup so far in BSL. So if there's a game for OctZerg to kind of, you know, if there's an upset that's going to happen, it's going to be this one right here. Both players playing for their tournament lives. And yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, man, because, again, MadiNho has a very distinct style in this matchup. And I don't know if OctZerg has played against it a lot.
Yeah, mech is not really a thing anymore. Rarely do I see it, and the only times that I do see it, I did see Sari play it recently. He's been going, like, delayed mech. And, well, yeah, delayed mech and then not going into bio, which is kind of flimsy. So we'll see if that's something that MadiNho will opt into. So let's see which player is going to move on to our losers bracket match, or who is going to be eliminated. It is going to be MadiNho versus OctZerg. So in the bottom left in the blue, our Zerg player, it is OctZerg.
And in the top left in the red Terran, the Norwegian player, it is MadiNho. OctZerg has had enough of the MadiNho banter. Now, MadiNho, is he going to be able to channel the the power of the Viking hat this game, you think? Who do you favor here? Who do you favor, Nick? Let's hear your takes. You're always asking me for my takes. Let's hear your takes.
Well, I think MadiNho. Well, see, the thing is that I haven't seen OctZerg play in literally 15 years. So just simply because of that, I feel like I have to favor MadiNho. I mean, he made it to top 8, 2 seasons ago? So it's hard to make top 8. And it's not like you just install the game, you're like, oh, well, I'm a top 8 player, right? So I think OctZerg has potential to go far, but I would imagine right now that MadiNho has to be the better player. And we have a wall off Mihai.
Yeah.
And that means one of two things. Either I'm getting trolled, or this is going to be like 2-port raid.
It could be anything, man. MadiNho is known for going 2-port Wraith as well, so I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, it could just be some kind of mech opening and he wants the wall off against a 9 pool or something like that. So OctZerg, oh, we even have OctZerg's view, and you can see he's sporting his WCG shirt like a true Chad. Really old school player. Sorry.
No, my bad. You think that he's playing the Beyond the Game sound while he's playing?
Yeah, dude. I used to listen to that song all the time. Wait, has OctZerg, he made it to the final, right?
I'm sure he did. I mean, he's one of the better European Zergs. I imagine that one of the times he probably made it to World Final.
Yeah.
Well, we have 2 hatch opener from OctZerg again. Yeah, he has not scouted MadiNho just yet, and he's going to have no idea that this is a tech play, at least not just yet. Looks like the drone is moving to the top side just now. Factory is going up, and this is actually going to be a mind game because it's a wall and then followed up with no continuation on the gas. So this is just going to be a standard command center follow-up.
Yeah, it is. So no 2-port Wraith, and not surprising. I mean, anything MadiNho does is surprising, honestly, but he is very unpredictable in this matchup early game. Cannot, it's hard to really get a read on him, so who knows what OctZerg is thinking, but OctZerg himself is just going for a nice standard build once again. We'll have to see. He did not see the command center, so around this time is when you kind of have to start suspecting a possible vulture opening and putting down your own sunken. Yeah, there we go. There's the creep colony. There's the sunken. And so this is going to be pretty good for OctZerg because he is going to block that first vulture pretty easily. We'll have to see what the follow-up is going to be. Is he going to go into a Spire? Is he going to get a Hydra Den early? What do you think is the best response here for Zerg?
I'm always torn between this because I like Hydra play versus mech because they just have so few units that you can just in the game quite quickly. And it's not like Terran can get out a lot of tanks and vultures to go up for a counterattack or Goliath that quickly. And we know that MadiNho is going for mech here. So if it was Marine Medic, that's a little different. But I mean, you can't ever go wrong with Spire, right? So I guess that's what he's going to go for. He showed the Spire and he showed the Hydra Den. So the Hydra Den is curious. And what makes this even more curious is there's no gas at the net. So I'm wondering if this Spire is actually a faker.
Yeah, there's no second gas, which is a huge tell. But at the same time, when you're forced to getting this Hydra Den and stuff, I mean, he has pulled a lot of gas, and you can actually go up to 500 gas easily, even off of 1 gas. So the thing is, this Hydra Den does cost some gas itself. Yeah, this is quite peculiar. There goes the second gas. Okay, so I do like this though. He is delaying it as long as possible, exactly for this, getting a 3rd hatchery going, and he is going to be able to essentially mine a lot of more minerals than he normally would, and kind of get into a nice macro situation. So, MadiNho himself is going to factory. He did finish vulture speed here, so these vultures are going to come in at just the time before Mutalisks pop, and they're going to look to kill as many drones as he possibly can. But nice SimCity. Oh, there's actually a hole on the bottom side, so MadiNho gets in so easily. These vultures are going to get so many drone kills, and oh my god, this is so bad for Zerg.
I feel like this is just like a repeat of the SPX game where he just gets in right before the Mutas pops out, kills so many drones. He also sees that the hatch is in the main. That means there cannot be a 4th hatch somewhere else. It's impossible. There's just flat out not enough resources for the Zerg. Look at this micro. He's trying to get that last drone. Ends up getting taken out before managing to take it down. But it looks like this is like 13 or 14 drones left over for OctZerg, and this is going to be probably him maybe not dying right here or in the next couple minutes. But once MadiNho reaches like 20 Goliaths with +1, it looks like there's just going to be no stopping him.
Yeah, no, totally right now. MadiNho opened himself up very nicely, or rather, he created a nice opportunity for himself to go for a timing attack. But we'll have to see, because honestly, we keep thinking that, but MadiNho somehow, some way, he'll make those factories, but then he'll make a command center. So, you know, again, slow and methodical is usually his go-to plan. But he is in a good spot so far.
Yeah, the one thing I'm looking at for MadiNho now is whether he takes his nat gas or whether he puts down additional factories. Well, not okay. Takes the nat gas and puts down starports, or whether he puts down additional factories. So far, we don't see either of them. I think after all the damage he has done, he might as well just go for a 5-pack timing. But so far, no choice from him just yet. Vulture, if it runs in here and gets more drone kills, I don't even know. It looks like it is just going to turn around though. But behind this, OctZerg is powering decently. Looks like he's got saturation across the board, his main and natural. And because he has 3 hatches, he has quite a bit of larva. And I'm a bit surprised that we don't see any more factories from MadiNho just yet.
Yeah, I mean, looking at MadiNho's resources here, he is quite low on the gas. So I'm suspecting that, yeah, look, he hasn't even taken his second gas just yet. So a bit of a mistake there. You know, really at this point you would want to have more factories going, or at least your command center or something, but it is going to slow him down just a bit. And that is important, because if Zerg has more time, then they have more time to get drones, more time to get units. Suddenly weakens this timing attack that we've been talking about or hinting at from Terran, and only now does he add a couple of factories. So it looks like he is going to commit to some kind of 2-base attack. But again, this is MadiNho. I wouldn't be surprised if after these factories finish, maybe he even gets a starport and then he puts down a command center. That would definitely not be out of character for the Norwegian player.
Yeah, either is fine, but I fear that if you do something like that, and look at that, Hydra trying to, oh no, Hydras move out of position for a second, and Vultures get in, or one Vulture gets into the main. I think it has +1 weapon. So, oh, okay, it does not have +1 weapon just yet, but he actually doesn't kill any drones. But because, okay, there we go. It is 4-fact, no starport, so he is just going to go for a killing blow.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll have to see. Of course, usually the timing in this situation is once Terran gets 1 attack upgrade and 1 armor upgrade, then the Terran units are extremely beefy, and Goliaths completely shred Mutalisks, and you know, tanks do a lot of damage. They don't take as much damage from Hydralisk. But you know, I don't know, man. I've got a feeling that we might see a command center.
It's possible. The Mutas are doing a decent job picking off a Goliath here and there, keeping MadiNho back. Supplies are surprisingly close, 90 to 71. That's not the worst scenario for Zerg. Now he even is taking bottom right. I think that's a little much, but maybe that'll draw the army over there and he can just sack that and continue mining his 3 bases right now with the mineral only. 3 bases is pretty good for Zerg going up against 2-base Terran. Now I'm curious what the upgrades are for the Mutas. Do they have like armor? Do the Hydras have +1 weapon? Not too sure. I know OctZerg has an evolution chamber. Oh, there's the command center, as you were expecting.
Yeah, and it's a ninja base, so interesting decision. Thing is, MadiNho is pushing out, but when you're doing this kind of timing attack, it's not a great kind of sign if you're like floating close to 1,000 resources, right? Like, and MadiNho kind of ended up spending his money just now by putting down a command center and putting down a factory. So to be completely honest with you, he does not necessarily have that many units.
Yeah, and he might be attacking uphill, and if he takes an uphill engagement versus Hydra Muta, think OctZerg will win the fight.
Yeah, very much could. I mean, it looks like OctZerg is... He's giving too much respect to the Terran army, but actually he's just going to go for a counterattack. He does have his base in the bottom right, so if this attack works... The thing is, look, there's a lot of buildings here, eBay coming down just in time. This wall is really nice. The bunker is there, still has Marines. The Mutalisks are diving on top of the tank, but they are taking a lot of damage, and OctZerg is just not focus firing the eBay, man. Just kill that and get in range, and oh my god, this is a huge throw from OctZerg, because just like you were saying, Nyokin, honestly, he could have just taken that fight at his third and won. It was against the Terran that was on low ground, and there weren't that many units. Now with the Terran army finally coming back and flanking the Zerg attack force and cleaning it up completely, now OctZerg might still have a chance if he saves these Mutalisks. They're doing a lot of damage. They killed 2-3 tanks. Now they killed a bunch of Goliaths. They're keeping the Terran in his base. But remember, MadiNho now has that third base going. If he starts making SCVs from there, he can match OctZerg's third base, and he can get into a nice economic position himself.
Yeah, that eBay was clutch for MadiNho and probably saved the game, because that was one tank for defense and one bunker, and easily would have gotten overwhelmed by those 15 Hydras and what looked like maybe a control group of Mutalisks. So really clutch play from MadiNho there, and now MadiNho is moving to kill bottom right. Looks like he's got a small army near the natural too, so that could be picked off probably a little bit. Well, maybe picked off easy. Damn, that one Goliath at the top is doing work. He just doesn't die. And all of these mutas are going to be eliminated.
Yeah, but so far, MadiNho, he did scout bottom right. He is getting into position to attack there. Gonna walk up the ramp here. This is a lot of units, so most likely this base is going down for OctZerg. Meanwhile, what is OctZerg's counterplay in this situation?
Is that an Old Ghost Cavern that I saw?
No, I think that was a Queen's Nest.
Okay, Queen's Nest. Yeah, OctZerg just doesn't have anything now. It's doubling the supply. Also, Terran has 1-1. I don't think Zerg has any upgrades, so that's obviously going to be not too great for him. It looks like this is most likely going to be the final attack from OctZerg. He's all in. This is his entire army. He's going to go for it, and I think the bunker is still alive, and I think there's tanks behind. Another eBay, of course. Yeah, there's just no chance, and this is going to be OctZerg, unfortunately, going to be eliminated in the round of 24. MadiNho a little bit too strong for him, and he's going to move on to the round of 16.
Damn. MadiNho with the smack talk on top of that. Definitely a showman in his own right. But OctZerg is going to keep fighting here. It is looking very difficult, though.
Yeah, I like the idea to counterattack, and I think it was fine. It was just eBay, and he didn't notice it at all. Now, I want to point out something here is he has +1 armor, but versus mech, you really want to get plus damage, because the armor doesn't help you. The tanks don't one-shot the Hydras anyways, so you really need to get damage and just kill them ASAP. But that's obviously a minor thing. But regardless, OctZerg, just unlucky today. First the Marine Medic and now the Vultures, and just really didn't get anything going. But I think his comeback was pretty decent. It looked like he might have recovered, but just too strong.
Yeah, and now finally, MadiNho gathering his forces, going in for the final attack. OctZerg GG's. And he is eliminated, unfortunately. As my camera is just going crazy. But yeah, that was unfortunate for OctZerg. MadiNho is going to stay alive, and he is going to be facing off against Gosudark in the last game of today. So basically a rematch, and we'll have to see if he does better this time.
Yeah, it will be a rematch. We saw them on Eclipse. Now it's going to be Polyvoid, and maybe Gosudark can get some revenge. He's just always... I think in the statistics in the profile, Gosudark made round of 16 every single time. So this would be the first time to not make it if he ends up losing. But MadiNho looked pretty good all day long. I think he played pretty much perfectly versus Gosudark earlier. So it's going to be pretty hard for Gosudark, I think. But the game versus SPX was crazy, so you never know.
Yeah, you definitely never know. I mean, even today, we've just had so many insane results so far. We'll have to see, man. I mean, who would you like to make it through? I'd like to see Gosudark win.
Why? Tell me why. You're a
I don't
Terran
know.
player and you want a Protoss to win?
I'm
You
just a
gotta
fan.
give me some reasoning here.
I'm just a fan.
Oh, you're a big fan? I'm
Yeah.
a big fan. You know, I called Gosudark almost every season as the underdog or the
Yeah, the
dark horse
dark
that
horse.
goes deep. Yeah, the one season he faced True Touch, he had True Touch dead. Let's be serious. He had True Touch dead, and then True Touch made an amazing recovery. So I'm fine with Gosudark making it out. I would like to see MadiNho just because he's Terran, and
Yeah.
it seems like we always have a lack of Terrans. But actually, every season we have like 10 Terrans. It's just they get eliminated very quickly. So I
Yeah.
want as many Terrans as possible in the round of 16.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I feel like we have such a skewed perception of the tournament today because we just got like a group of death with Terrans, and got like 3 Terrans earlier. We got 2 Terrans now. Maybe remember, but whatever. I mean, I'm thinking back to BSL10, and we just kept casting PvZ and PvP. So you know, we can't really complain too much. But yeah, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, this matchup is going to be tricky. You know, Gosudark just kind of played really well in the first game against MadiNho. It was on Eclipse. Now it's going to be on Polypoid. So how do you think the dynamic is going to change? Like, Gosudark has only had to play PvT today, by the way. Do you think on Polypoid he's going to kind of change his approach or just be doing the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. I think the only difference is that now he gets to sit on the high ground denying the third base.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just the winning map for him, or a good map for him at least. So I would, if you like Gosudark as a player and you want to say, okay, well, what map is his best chance to win on? I think this is it, because you saw how long it took MadiNho to take his third base on Eclipse. Now imagine he also has to fight in the high ground, taking his mineral only. Also, the mineral only doesn't have gas. So
Yeah.
MadiNho can't spam tanks forever. So I think out of all the maps, this has got to be the best one for Gosudark.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think you know, a map like Eclipse is something that actually I would think is better for MadiNho because there are fewer bases, and he's the type of player that is comfortable with splitting the map and going very late game and taking his time taking bases. But on a map like Polypoid, you really need to kind of just get your bases right away and play off of that one sector of the map that you're on. So we'll have to see how MadiNho approaches the map. Now, in general, MadiNho, his playstyle is to kind of sit back and kind of slowly take bases, but harass with drops and make it really difficult for Protoss. And we saw that in game 1. And we also saw SPX kind of do that against Gosudark. He did have some nice drop harass himself, and to some pretty good efficiency. So that'll be interesting to see what both of these players' approach are. Now, what do you think the chances are that one of them whips out some crazy and insane thing? Like, who's more likely to just... Oh, okay, yeah.
But look at that profile, man. I told you, every single season, round of 16, this would be the first time he doesn't make it. So I feel like it's just destiny, right? He's destined to make at least a round of 16. So it's a good sign for Gosudark fans that he always makes it to the round of 16. I'm surprised at his win rates, actually, because if you look at it, his best matchup is versus Protoss, and the versus Terran percentage is so low, because I feel like that's the matchup he's the most dangerous at, but looks like PvP is his favorite, or his best so far.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, the sample size is a bit low, so we can take these stats with a grain of salt. Of course, both... Yeah.
You know what's not a small sample size?
Yeah.
That ladder score. 24-49,
Yeah.
60 wins, 60 games. That's quite a bit of games to be up there, or to get 24-50. It's not like he played 5 games and placed 24-50. That's pretty damn high.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. 2450, man. That's got to be like top 100 ladder players, right?
Yeah, it is crazy high. You're playing, you know, I played Sorry yesterday. I said that earlier, and he was 2430. So
Yeah.
Gosudark better than Sorry, maybe?
Game is ready. Polypoid is going to be the map. Let's get into the last game of today. Gosudark versus MadiNho. Winner makes it out. Loser goes home.
Right, in the top right, we have our red Protoss Gosudark.
And in the bottom right, we've got MadiNho in the blue Terran.
Well, we've got bottom right position for MadiNho, so we've got vertical spawns, and you know, I guess that could open up opportunity for like Toxie Robo at mid right. Could be Robo at high ground up to third base. It could be gateways there too. Oh, we've got a forward gate coming in for Gosudark.
Yeah, interesting decision here. I don't think I've seen MadiNho ever go for a Rax expand though, so I wonder what the decision is here behind this forward pylon. I mean, obviously it's for a gate, like you said, but it really the forward gate and zealot openings in general are specifically there to punish Rax expand. But sometimes you can punish Terrans that try and take their natural too quickly off of gas opening. So if they go down the ramp and put down a bunker with just one Marine, and suddenly the zealot shows up, it can do a whole ton of damage and just win the game there. So we'll have to see. It is dangerous. How will MadiNho deal with this, though? The nice thing for Gosudark is that he is getting the first scout.
Yeah, both players are going to. Oh, Gosudark is going to scout first. He's going to come in here, and this is so annoying to have to deal with this probe from the get-go. Looks like a little bit of flag coming in, but we'll see if the probe can snipe this SCV. He's already gotten like 3 or 4 shots off. It's going to be super annoying. Now, I have to point out that this Rax, kind of a weird positioning. Where's he going to put the depot? At the top right corner? I guess that would make the most sense. But if he just builds it in a random spot, this could get ugly real fast because no Sim City versus Zealot pressure. I mean, we saw how that went for Vadi on Eclipse. Not too well.
Oh, but there goes the depot. So he is going to have the Sim City there.
Ooh,
Probe
that's
is being
getting
annoying.
very low.
Yeah, I mean, every did he get it? No, okay. Every SCV counts here. You know, Protoss definitely wants to get a couple of kills. It does slow down the Terran. Behind this, Gosudark is getting the core. Looks like after his second Zealot. So very standard here.
So we do have the first Zealot and Probe coming in any second now. 2 Marines and an SCV on the ramp. The Probe, I don't think, is very low, so it's going to take a while to take it down. Zealot is taking a lot of damage. Ends up saving the SCV too. And already, I think this is a disaster for Gosudark. He's going to try and salvage it, but 3 Marines are already out. The Zealot is going to fall, and really no damage was dealt. Okay, the Zealot gets away. Luckily, I think that's a good move to at least save it. It only has 5 health, though. Round 2 is coming in. Let's see if... Oh, no! The low health Zealot went in first.
Yeah, MadiNho needs to just click on these Zealots. Yeah, notices it. These Marines are really low, though, so he can't stop microing because, you know, the one full health Zealot can get on top of the 2 low Marines and just kind of finish them off, and it's still problematic for Terran. You know, in this situation, Terran wants to do 2 things. Not lose SCVs and not lose Marines. I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward, but when you lose Marines, it just forces you to make more Marines, and that essentially delays your command center, right? Like your natural expansion. So if you lose Marines, then your natural expansion comes later, and Protoss's natural comes at the normal time that it usually comes at, and it's ahead of yours. But looks like MadiNho this game, I think maybe he lost just not even 1 SCV and like 1 Marine. Like he has his bunker down, and he's gonna start his command center before the Nexus gets put down, way before the Nexus gets put down from Gosudark, so this is definitely a really good spot for the Terran to be in.
Yeah, this is a huge build order advantage for MadiNho right now. Now, back in the main of Gosudark, I noticed another gate. And this is a curious move because you would not expect there to be a... Okay, this is what I was thinking. When I saw that pylon go up, I actually thought it was a citadel because that made the most sense. Now, this could mean anything. Because he has 2 gates already, I actually wouldn't be surprised if this is like a 4-gate Speed Zealot Goon combo. Not even okay, is that gonna do it? No, there's a 3rd one. There's the 3rd one. This could just be an all-in onto the bunker.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, MadiNho does see that there's no Nexus, so he knows something's up. He also sees 3 Dragoons at his front. He saw 1 Dragoon, 1 Zealot at the natural, right? Oh no, like he even saw the 2 Dragoons. But he already has siege mode. He has a bunker. What do you do here? I mean, this is not really breakable from Protoss.
Oh, trust me, when Gosudark is on the prowl, this is definitely breakable. If he floods Zealots onto this bunker with speed, I think for sure he can bust it. We talked about how MadiNho stayed on 1 factory for so... Yep, this is Speed Zealot, man. I knew it.
Yeah.
This is what he does. He just randomly just decides between like 5 different all-ins that he's going to go for, and this is what he's decided. And I think he's going to plow through because that's... Well, I guess that is mines, right? That's the only upgrade it could possibly be on 1 factory. So if there are mines in place, I think MadiNho will hold. But if there isn't, oh man, the starport is not going to help him at all unless they do like a base trade scenario.
Yeah, the starport's definitely not what you want to see. If anything, this is looking really bad for... I mean, he does have 3 tanks. This should be enough. He does have decent SimCity. He is keeping SCVs out, so he knows something's up. He is cutting SCVs, though. I mean, look at his supply. Well, of course, Protoss is going to be a bit ahead in supply in this particular situation. Does pull the SCVs back. Here come the Zealots, though. This is going to be it, Nyokin. This is tournament gameplay at its finest. You know,
but it's still only 1 factory.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a huge problem. But these mines here, depends on how well these mines connect. Depends if MadiNho can pull his SCVs in time. Rax gets lifted just in time to greet the Zealots. He's going in here. Those mines were really good connections. The SCVs don't get pulled quite in time. Bunker does go down. The dropship is going to come out and kind of just chill around. These Dragoons do get some hits off onto the tanks, but they lose vision, so they can no longer shoot them. Great repositioning there by MadiNho, getting away from the ledge. That mine is going to connect with the bunch of the Zealots. No SCVs go down, and Gosudark desperately trying to push up this ramp, but it's just not going to happen, and it looks like MadiNho holds on comfortably because he still has 2 tanks. He still has a couple of vultures, and the follow-up. Oh my god, not only is this crazy game happening, but CRVT with a huge 500 tip. MadiNho fighting. Thanks so much, my dude. Incredible support again from the community. But yeah, this game, I mean, Gosudark is gonna force the command center off of the low ground, and honestly, if he puts down a Nexus down, there is some opportunity here to come back, but
yeah, he's still in an okay shape. Now the big problem for him is this drop, because he has no... Oh well, goons are in position, but because he has no observer, if mines get, you know, set up, he's going to be in real trouble. But I think this dropship might just get instantly intercepted by these goons. Well, that's going to be 2 shots, 3 or 4. Okay, it is going to get into the main. It doesn't look like Gosudark reacted at all.
yeah, these vultures are going to do a lot of damage, though. Like, every probe is so important in this low economy game. 2 go down, 3 go down. Is he going to get a 4th? No, that vulture was actually targeting the Dragoon at the end there. DTs are out, but the turrets are in position for MadiNho, and he already has mines, so kind of a suspect decision here to go into the DTs. But you know what's nice about these DTs, Nyokin, is that had MadiNho thought of some kind of 4 factory follow-up, or like, you know, whatever, some really quick factory push, and kind of forgot, like, basically the DTs are going to block it because they force at least an academy to get thrown down, and it buys a lot of time. So you know what, like, it's not necessarily about killing the Terran with these DTs, but it's more so about just making sure that, you know, the Terran's not getting too overly aggressive, and that's going to allow him to basically get this Nexus up and running. And right now is a major decision for Protoss to make. Does he go for a third base, or does he put down a Stargate?
We've got DT at the natural, and it's, you know, disallowed mining on half of the mineral patches. So already the DT, whether or not it does any damage, has already done, you know, a bit of economic damage. Lack of mining for MadiNho. He still hasn't killed it. I guess it's just barely out of range. I don't even know if he has an academy built just set. The dropship going into the nat again, yet somehow Gosudark has sniffed it out, moves his goons into position just in time. Now it looks like there might be something else going on in the main. Maybe that's double dropship? 3 vultures into the main just now. Slick move from MadiNho, but Gosudark, too smart, already has 4 goons in position.
Yeah, Gosudark is defending this harassment from Terran very well. Only 1 probe, not even. 1 Dragoon goes down. I don't think he even got a probe there, so... Okay, this is pretty good defending from Gosudark, but again, he has to make that decision. Does he go for the Nexus? Does he go for the Stargate? Personally, I think... Okay, this DT is actually still doing damage, and even forcing SCVs off of mining like that is, again, a tremendous amount of damage at this stage in the game. Like, it's a very crucial time where both players are trying to get their infrastructure up, trying to get their economy up, and any interruption is huge. Now, MadiNho's going for this third base, but okay, Gosudark's on top of it. 1 DT gonna completely stuff this expansion attempt from Terran. And again, Gosudark, what are you doing? Are you getting a Stargate, or are you going for that Nexus? He's just chilling.
He's going for neither. He's building the forge. I guess he remembered last game he was lacking the upgrade, so this time he's going to get his forge extra quickly. He's got command center, or MadiNho's got command center going up in his main. I think that is a much smarter move than trying to build it on location after getting denied, especially 5 gates now, or 6 gates now for Gosudark. We still don't know what he wants to use that Templar Archive for, well, other than the DTs, whether he's going to go Storm or Arbiters. But so far, it looks like both players, I guess, are content with sitting on their 2 bases for now. MadiNho taking a third pretty soon. But Gosudark, no third Nexus anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he took the time to tech up to robotics because he wants to get observers out. But when you open the Citadel style and get DTs, like, it's just too slow to get obs out. Like, and there's no reason really, because the Terran was in his base for the longest time. So honestly, if Gosudark just took his third, he took his mineral only, and then, you know, if he takes his mineral only, he doesn't have to defend anything. He just sets his units outside of his natural, and that covers a lot. He doesn't have to care about demining the map, and then you would just accelerate your tech up into Stargate, and then get observers after that. But you know, the way that he's doing it is really just hampering his economy. It's really hampering his development. Meanwhile, MadiNho, he is having the right focus with his game plan. He's trying to get that third command center going at a good time, and it looks like he's actually going to have a third base mining before the Protoss, which is huge, because the Protoss, usually, if the Protoss doesn't have this, like, economic edge, they usually have the tech edge. But in this particular case, there's no Arbiters coming. There's no, like, kind of buzz coming. He's just so far behind.
Yeah, this is a position I would never want to be in as Protoss. I guess, like we were talking about earlier,
Sickies is
sitting on the high ground
for
is
5
nice,
months.
but it seems like that period or that time has come and gone, because now there's so many tanks you cannot just sit here. Third base is going to be taken. You never want to be taking your third base later than Terran, or it's okay to take it later if you intend to bust, but it doesn't look like, okay, I guess he is intending to bust, but I don't think he's going to have success with this. There's so many tanks, but at least they're on low ground, so they're not going to hit that accurately.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if this attack works. He does have Zealot speed from the early game still. He is going around, though, which is nice. This is kind of a more common attack path, because most Terrans actually do mine up the front of their main base. Of course, Gosudark is pulling back, but coming in here from the side. Actually, no, Gosudark is gonna. He sees that there's no tanks covering these mines, so he's gonna take the liberty of just de-mining this area and then pull back. So I really like this move from Gosudark. That's exactly the type of maneuver he needs to be doing to get back into this game. Just clear out a couple mines where he can, get these pickoffs on the vultures, but he really is in a very tight spot because he's behind in supply, and in this matchup you really don't want that to happen.
Well, the vultures don't get any kills there, but they do see that the probes weren't even mining the third base, so he's going to see all those zealots, see all those goons, and know that Gosudark was intending to bust, because where else would his money be going? He just passed, or he had to go for a bust, and now that it's been denied, MadiNho should be feeling amazing. I saw in the main of Gosudark that there's 2 Stargates. Arbiter did not start blinking just yet, but supplies are a little bit in favor of Gosudark, but overall, MadiNho killing it just now. His +2 weapon should be kicking in pretty soon. Also, he's got a lot of gas, so he's probably going to put down 3 or 4 more factories, and then he's really going to have all of his production up and running.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, Nayokin. But yeah, so far MadiNho, his third base is operational. So is Gosudark's. Finally, some good scouting here with the observers. Maybe you can notice MadiNho is only on 5 factories right now, not an overwhelming production. But I do like that MadiNho has elected to take this fast 4th base at 6 o'clock. That is a very good decision. So once that comes online, he's going to be able to go up and explode in factory count. He is researching EMP, so he's getting ready for those arbiters.
I don't know if it's just me, but this observer going into the main is hilarious to me because this is the first observer. So to me, it's like, what are you expecting to see, Gosudark? It's a 16-minute observer. Shouldn't everything be done? Like, you're not reading the armory timing, you're not reading whether he's going drops or something, but whatever. I mean, the game's very, very funky, but I find that quite hilarious. We've got top middle going up for Gosudark. I feel like I'm having flashbacks to the SPX game where Gosudark didn't get punished and he slowly built up arbiters. You remember there was like a point where he had 4 or 5, and with double Stargate, he's going to be at 4 arbiters pretty quickly. We know how slow MadiNho acted on Eclipse. Now that the game's really weird and he's still at only 130 supply, I think there's a real chance that, again, we may have 4 arbiters on the map, may have like 8 stasises go down. We may have the 4 arbiter recall again attempted by Gosudark.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy. The one thing about that observer though is that he does see that maybe there's not too many mines, so he might be trying to go for a recall, but MadiNho, he has presence of mind of just spamming turrets, being ultra safe against the recall. Double Stargate Arbiter is nice here from Protoss, but he needs to keep those Arbiters alive. That's, you know, it can be a good substitution for mixing in Templar, but only if you actually keep the Arbiters alive and go up to like basically 6 Arbiters. That's like the magic number, where Terran really gets like oppressed by stasis and what have you. But at the same time, like, he only has 6 gate. He does have 2 Forge, but seeing here 6 gate with 2 Stargate is kind of weird. You know, usually you kind of do want to prioritize your ground army at least a bit, because the Arbiters are nice, but they don't actually kill units.
Yeah,
MadiNho,
so the lack of gates is really going to hurt him. He's really just going to have 1 tech, and then he's not going to be able to remax that quickly. So that is the most worrisome point for Gosudark. I mean, he's got 4 bases. That's okay versus 4 base Terran. Of course, you really want to be on 5 or 6. He's got double Stargate. That's great. But yeah, really the lack of gates is hurting him. He had like 15 on Eclipse. So he does need to put down a few more gates pretty soon. There's 7 and 8, but he still needs a bit more. Double Forge is going to help him too, to at least nullify the upgrade advantage of MadiNho. But look how many tanks it is. This is This is one of the problems of playing like the Templar style, for example, that's none of these days, is that Terran just sits here and builds up so many tanks. And this is also what you want to do exactly versus mass arbiters, is you don't want to have a lot of ultras. You want to be tank man. So even if there are 5 stasises, Gosudark still might struggle to plow through.
Yeah, I mean, this army is huge. It's a lot of tanks too. Well, we'll have to see, Nyokin. Like, the stasises, though, will be important regardless. And they can win you the games. The big problem I'm seeing from Protoss is that he's only on 4 base. He needs to get another base.
Yeah,
ASAP.
It looks like he's contemplating top left at this point. That is so many tanks, man. It's going to be at least 2 control groups, maybe even 2.5. He has the best SWAT, and we know he's got EMP because we saw it research. So this is going to be, I guess, Gosudark's, I'm going to say last stand, because if he loses this army, I don't think he can reproduce it that fast. He also doesn't have that much of a bank. Whereas MadiNho, sure, he doesn't have that much of a bank either, but obviously he's going to trade much better. He's also got, I think, better saturation across all of his bases. Now, if he could get a stasis off on that clump of units right there, I think Gosudark would easily win the fight, but he does not count on it. Of course, he doesn't have the observer, but geez, this is just so many tanks. I think he even has +3 at this point too.
I mean, if he has +3, that would be insane. Yeah, he does. He has 3 too, so MadiNho playing really nice. Gosudark kind of this game, like, he's just waiting for that attack. Sometimes you can get into this conundrum as Protoss, like, you kind of miss your bust timing and you feel like, okay, any minute now, Terran's gonna push out, any minute, and they never do, and they just sit there and build up their huge army. That's a good stasis. You know, it doesn't get too many units, but it does get the vessel that had EMP. So he needs to bring his other arbiters in. Okay, he's just gonna go in. He needs to get the right stasis off. One EMP goes off onto the arbiter. Second EMP hits with the other arbiter as well. He does have 2 stasis to work with, but they're not going down just yet. He does stasis a clump of tanks, but those are the ones that are gonna... It really saves them more than anything. He needs to stasis these back tanks. This is gonna be a massive stasis. Huge stasis, but it's just too late. The tanks have already dished out their damage. A lot of Protoss units are left over, but oh my god, the mines connect. That siege tank splash damage completely obliterates that group of goons. And honestly, Gosudark, he pulled the trigger too fast there. You know, if you're gonna stasis the vessel that has an EMP, then take your time, fly in the other arbiters, get more stasis off before you start fighting. You can't just run in, let the Terran get a bunch of volleys, and now you can see, I mean, those tanks were completely surrounded. They do trade. That was good for Gosudark, but now the problem that Gosudark had this entire game was his economy is not quite there. He can't remax. Like, he's poor. Terran's already maxed almost. Gosudark's sitting on 115 supply.
Yeah. Definitely rewatch that fight, because before even MadiNho started losing supply, Protoss went down to 144 supply. I was watching just everything explode, and also it seemed like Protoss was almost pure goon, like right there. You see almost pure goons going up against pure tank. Not an ideal comp to be dealing with. And yeah, this is going to be MadiNho just probably A-moving. He EMP'd all of the arbiters. As you pointed out, the stasises were not in sync, a little bit too aggressive with his attack before going for the stasis. And he can have as many arbiters as he wants, but if all the supplies and arbiters are not in anything that can actually kill the units, this is just going to be an unstoppable army. 200 supply versus 145 +3 for Terran. Also, he didn't even lose that many tanks either, so this is still going to be probably like 50% tanks in this army, and there's just a lack of AoE at this point. Goon sweeping around the left side, I think that's a smart move, but I don't see an observer there.
Yeah. Well, it looks like MadiNho is getting into the kill position here. This is a really, really difficult position to take a fight in as Protoss. You know, tanks are already sieged. There's mines in front of them. It's a big lag spike hit, unfortunately, but the 3-2 is going to do so much damage to these Protoss units. Gosudark does decide to go. He does not want to lose his main, or his natural in his third base. This is a pretty decent engagement from Gosudark, and he does have a lot of Dragoons, so they're going to be able to tank up a lot of these shots and eventually trade with a lot of these Terran units. So far, not the worst trade here for the Protoss player, but eventually he will run out of steam. There's a lot of Terran units in the back line. Gosudark does kill a lot of them off. 3? Oh my god, that was a 6 stasis, and honestly, these Arbiters are doing work.
Yeah, that went, despite the supply of Gosudark going basically down to 100, it went better than I initially thought. And I'm still wondering, like, we consistently see fights of MadiNho and think like, okay, where's the rest of his army? He was maxed in that fight, but it looked like there was only like 3 groups of units. So it's surprisingly small, but at this point, oh my gosh, he hits every single Arbiter right there. All the energy is gone. He's at 160 supply, but knowing how MadiNho has played this entire time, he may not be feeling confident to actually push into Protoss with just 160 supply, so he may end up backing off. Luckily for him, he has bottom left up and running, so he has 5 base versus 5 base. More tanks are going to fall, and you know, unless the Arbiters die, there's going to be more stasis, you know, a minute from now. EMPing the Arbiters are great, but MadiNho needs to start thinking about actually killing them, because soon Gosudark's going to reach that critical mass that you were talking about of 6. He's at 3. He needs 2 more to reach 5, and then he can just almost have endless stasis. He's okay. There's 4th one already out too.
Yeah, but the problem is Gosudark just does not have extra bases. You got to be up on 7 bases at this point as Protoss, and Terran is still expanding, so even if he gets up to 6 Arbiters, I mean, does it really matter if you're on 120 supply and Terran is maxed? I don't think so. You know, you can stasis out half their army and they still have a bigger army than you, so Gosudark needs to create enough space to be able to eventually expand and take that top left main and possibly even the mineral only there, and then maybe he's in a good spot, or try to deny bottom left from MadiNho. But MadiNho is getting that base for free, essentially uncontested, and I mean, it is because he has such a huge supply lead that he can just constantly pressure Gosudark's main base, and Gosudark's having to keep his army in this top right sector of the map. So, you know, Gosudark still has a lot of work to get back into this game.
MadiNho has mid-right up and running. It's still been unscouted. That was a lot of tanks going over there to defend it too. He just has so many tanks, man. He's not even gas starved either. He's got 700, 700. This is going to put him on 5 gas. Sure, 2 or 3 of them are depleted at this point, but just ridiculous amounts of gas income. What I like is that even though he loses vessels, he instantly rebuilds them. That's something that I personally struggle to deal with. It's not so easy to just remember to build 1 vessel. 2nd vessel coming out too, and I like this. He does have enough Goliaths now that in any fight he should be able to kill at least 1 of the Arbiters, probably multiple, but this is more than likely going to be the killing move. I think all of Gosudark's units are out of position. Oh, never mind, they're sitting on the high ground.
I mean, this is such a sick position, and yeah, finally MadiNho adding a decent amount of Goliaths to his composition here, so this recall is going to go off. This is nice, but the thing is, there's a huge Terran army at his front door, knocking it down. MadiNho has to be decisive here, and he just needs to go for the main. Like, accept that you're going to lose bottom left. This is going to be a recall. Oh my god, those mines.
I thought that was going to be a bigger recall than it was, and I thought everything was going to explode, but at least he denies the mining here. For now, it didn't lose too much, but how does he stop the Terran army? But at least what this did do is you can see that MadiNho, focusing on the defense at bottom middle, hasn't really continued to aggressively push, but still, as he said, there's just no econ for... Oh, there's another recall down to the bottom middle.
That's dope though, but you see, the thing is, this type of move would be excellent for Gosudark if he had the top left main, but he doesn't have the top left main. All of his production is top right, and he's just giving it up. So functionally, the units that he has out on the map denying these bases are the only units he has left, really, because the top right units are all going to just run into this meat grinder that's parked outside of his base. And I mean, just look at MadiNho's army. You know, all he has to do is just unsiege these units and go in. But, you know, of course, taking his time, those arbiters are still a threat. You know, stasis is annoying, but you know, when you have 3-3 mech and you're ahead like 80 supply, it's time to just unsiege an A move. You know, like there's not, you know, arbiters are strong, but they're not that strong. This top left kind of force from MadiNho is gonna deny that base entirely, and it's just 2 Goliaths and 1 tank. And yeah, I mean, Gosudark, his chances are slipping away.
Yeah, I mean, he's down 80 supply. He's doing what he can. He has a good arbiter count. It's just his army comp is just too small. Sure, he has like 24 supply in arbiters, and then that all so that cuts into it also. Like if you're at 100 supply and then 25 is, you know, not damage dealing units, how do you ever kill the army? Still, he thinks that this is a close game because he doesn't realize mid right is up and running for MadiNho, but in reality, he's down 80 supply. MadiNho still has good econ. The recall was pretty nice. He at least saves the Nexus. But look at the probes mining there. There's like 5. So it's not even like good econ for him to be mining this base.
Yeah, I mean, this game's over.
Like this army right here is what? Not even a fourth of MadiNho's army. It's just sitting outside of his map.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, we're going to see GG soon, and MadiNho's going to make it out of this group, but definitely a valiant effort here from Gosudark. You know, he's still going to fight it out with the last couple arbiters. I mean, they can make magic, but again, it's too little too late.
Yep, we are just waiting for the GG. Top middle is basically mined out, so MadiNho doesn't even need to kill his base. He should really just put all of his attention to attacking top right. He scanned top left. He knows there's no probes there. Just go wipe this guy's base. There's nothing for you to kill at top middle, really. And it doesn't. There's no bad decision he could do. I'm just saying, like he should just go kill the main. So this Nexus is going to be wiped out. EMP will just instantly wipe it out, like in a second. I'm curious what Gosudark's move is. Like, he's not busting the front. He defensively recalled top left. Is he just going to try and recall all game? He still doesn't know about mid-right either.
Oh, apparently,
okay.
Is it though?
It might be. I mean, both players are floating quite a bit, but if you look at MadiNho's money, it matches what I'm seeing on the stream, so not too sure. Anyways,
Well, in any case, yeah, I mean, we'll see. And Gosudark's toughing it out.
I mean, this is his tournament life, right? It's best of 1. It's not best of 3. If he loses here, he's gone. So I don't mind him staying here, but he literally has to have the best trades ever, and he hasn't had really good trades all game long. So I don't know. This is. If he was max, I think he still has a chance with all those arbiters, but he just doesn't have the critical mass that he needs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to look at this and trying to think, how does Protoss come back in this situation? And I really just don't know. I mean, he needs to somehow secure top left. He needs to win a big fight and then secure top left, and then he's in. But I just don't see how he can do that. Yeah, it looks like the replay is desynced because MadiNho has this 6 o'clock base, which isn't showing up on, or like the live game. It's not showing up on the live game. Sick EMP there, gets 1 arbiter, but the other 2 arbiters still have energy.
Yeah, MadiNho even taking the bottom left side of the map. So he even if it was to go split map in some insane way, MadiNho's already going to be ready for that. He's taking his side of the map I still don't see Gosudark taking top left completely, still just having the natural there. He's on one base. Oh, there it is. GG. He taps out. So it's going to be MadiNho moving out in second place of our group and SPX moving out in first place. So congratulations to both of them. And unfortunately, this is going to be the first time Gosudark doesn't make it into the round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, heartbreaking loss there, but he did try his best. And so that means that from Group F, we have SPX advancing in first place and MadiNho in second place. And pretty sick results. Terran's making it through, man.
Yeah, Terrans did very well today. With the death group, I thought for sure we are going to have like 2 or 3 of them eliminated, but they ended up putting on a good show. SPX looked really good. MadiNho looked pretty good too. OctZerg, bit unlucky today, just like Body earlier, just nothing went well for him today, so that's a bit unlucky. And Gosudark, he had opportunities to win the games, but just a little bit too solid of a play from our Terran players, and a bit unlucky, the 4 Arbiter recall, which would have been genius if any of them had recall available. So just unlucky that today didn't go his way. But that's going to be wrapping up our first day. Tomorrow, we've got 2 more groups. I forget which ones they are, but I remember that we do have C and D. And remember, Group C is the Zerg group. It's got Avilub, Frosty, Quark, and another Zerg that's not coming to mind, but that should be Striker. That should be crazy because there was a poll on BSL a couple days ago about what the death group was. Oh, also the death group is coming, Group D. Group D got voted, but actually I like Group C as the death group because everybody here I feel like is basically the same MMR. Like they're not like 2,600 players like the Walt and Bonnet, but they're literally all the same MMR, so really anybody legitimately can make it out of this group.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an exciting group tomorrow. I'm just looking it up here. And then Group C, again, like Knifin said, Avilub, Striker, Quark, Cross. And Group D is going to be Siki, Ziggy. So Siki, Ziggy, Gornish, and Dandy. So Siki, obviously the Hungarian god Zerg player, and Ziggy, the kind of up-and-coming Terran player from Poland. Gornish and Dandy. So 2 really strong, really strong groups coming up tomorrow. As our lovely producer Zero brings up the Wikipedia page. So of course, guys, if you're ever curious about the tournament, always make sure to check out the Wikipedia page. And yeah, Naokin, how about you tell us a bit about sponsors and the Patreons that make this all possible?
Yeah, if you want to support the BSL, you can definitely donate directly or, donate bits or subscribe, but you can also become a Patreon supporter. There's several levels. We have at the $100 level, our Bombastic Generals, Andrei Strebkowski, Star Lover, $50. We've got, does that say Grak? I think that's Grak. Striker and Grail. Sorry, it's kind of blurry here. Grail and Striker, thank you so much. $30 level, Druglog and Tupacalypse. And at $20, we've got X Civil War X, Christian Eddington, Mad Cats Ray Road, Martin, Hedsmar, I can't read it, LML, Lingenpump, and Comcheck. Thank you so much for supporting the BSL. And I can't remember what level you get the replays from the tournament, but I think it's $20 if you become a $20 Patreon supporter. You get all of the replays from BSL. So definitely consider becoming a Patreon supporter if you want to support the BSL. And I think that's it for us today, Gypsy. How were the games for you? Did they go as you expected? Did everybody make it out as you expected?
Well, yeah. If we look back at the first group, Terra Boa made it out, kind of expected, and then on this group, MadiNho SPX made it out. And to be completely honest with you, I feel like those are kind of the favorites in all groups. So overall, though there were some games that were awfully close, kind of business as usual today, right?
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think Body could have made it out, but
yeah,
pretty much as expected. I won't ask you to make predictions for tomorrow because
no,
we know that
I'm
if you make those
that.
predictions, they're going to get eliminated. So
Yeah.
we don't want to curse the players before the games even start. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow with Group C and Group D.